केले मेसेज सगळ्यांना.
अमोल सर.
यस सर.
हो सर, आमच्या हेड JP जाधव मॅडम जॉईन झाले असेल अटेंडी म्हणून. त्यांना बघा तुम्ही पॅनलिस्ट लिस्ट मध्ये घेताय का? प्रोफेसर JP जाधव.
ओके. पंकज सर.
सर अजून नाही झाले जॉईन. झाले की घेतो मी.
ओके ओके.
येस.
Good morning, Almas.
Good morning, sir.
We will just wait for 5 minutes.
Yes. I think we can wait for 5 minutes, no problem. I think there are more attendees who should be joining because yesterday we really had a very good crowd. So I think they should be coming back today again.
Yes.
Hello, madam. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir.
Madam, yesterday's event was very nice actually.
Okay. Thank you.
दोन्ही सेशन खूपच मस्त झाले एकदम. आणि आमचे स्टुडंट खूप हॅपी होते.
ओके गुड.
नंतर इंडिव्हिज्युअल ईमेल व्हॉट्सअप मेसेज आले इंडिव्हिज्युअल स्टुडंटचे. लिमे सर.
हो सर.
लिमे सर, आपल्या MSc सेकंड इयर स्टुडंटचे इंडिव्हिज्युअल मेसेजेस आले की येस्टरडे सेशन व्हेरी गुड ऍक्च्युली.
वा, छान. Almas is known for that. Almas.
होय. मी त्यांना स्पेसिफिकली हे पण म्हटलं की तुमच्या प्रॅक्टिकल ओरिएंटेड जे काही तुम्हाला डाऊट असेल तर तुम्ही डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन लिहा मॅडमला किंवा बोला तुम्ही.
बरोबर.
त्यामुळे आज मुलं बोलतील किंवा लिहितील क्वेश्चन्स.
हो चालेल. नाहीतर आपण कसं करायचं माहितीये का, आता हे सगळं सेशन्स वगैरे झालं ना डिस्कस, एक म्हणजे सेपरेट Q&A सेशन म्हणून टॉपिक वाईज आपण अरेंज करू शकतात. त्याच्यात फक्त Q&A सेशन घ्यायचं म्हणजे क्वेश्चन आणि आन्सर. तसं पण आपण येईल तसं आपल्याला करता येईल.
हो, नक्कीच. व्हेरी नाईस. करूया, तसंच करूयात आपण. म्हणजे मग मॅक्झिमम स्टुडंटचे डाऊट सगळे क्लिअर होतील. आणि
इन बिटवीन आता आपला आजचं हे सेशन झालं ना, मी भरपूर म्हणजे केस स्टडीज किंवा स्टडी मटेरियल लिंक वगैरे युट्यूबवर पण आहे, भरपूर मटेरियल्स आहे. मी सगळं लिंक्स वगैरे शेअर करून देईल सरला किंवा प्राजक्ता मॅडमला. ते स्टुडंट आपण शेअर करायचं, त्यांना सांगायचं म्हणजे तुम्ही जरा स्टडी करा. त्याच्यानंतर त्यांना काय डाऊट्स येते ना, ते डाऊट्स म्हणजे आपण डिस्कस करायला एक सेपरेट Q&A सेशन अरेंज करू शकतात.
ओके फाईन. आणि मॅडम होय, तुम्हाला मला सांगायला आवडेल की लिमे सरांची आणि आमची अशी चर्चा झाली की तुम्हाला कंटिन्युअसली आमच्या कोर्स मध्ये इन्व्हॉल्वमेंट ठेवायचे. म्हणजे तुमचं गायडन्स आमच्या विद्यार्थ्यांना ऑलवेज लागेलच असं सरांनी मला सांगितलंय. त्यामुळे आपण करूयात हे म्हणजे कंटिन्युअसली. होय, नक्कीच करूयात. त्यामुळे हा बोला सर.
सोनवणे सर, जर Almas मॅडम ना शिवाजी युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये आता हे प्लेसमेंट लागणार आहे आपल्याला या मुलांची, जी फर्स्ट सेमची 7 मुलं, फर्स्ट इयरची 7 मुलं आणि आता जी 22 आहेत ती.
ओके.
तर त्याच्याकडे तुमच्या विद्यापीठाकडनं किंवा ग्रँट मधनं Almas मॅडमना काही प्लेसमेंट कन्सल्टंट असं काही घेता येतं का? कारण त्या
आपण डेफिनेटली विल ट्राय इन दॅट वे.
ओके.
प्लेसमेंट कन्सल्टंट म्हणून मला फक्त काय वेगळा फॉर्मॅट किंवा काही जर कोणी केलं असेल तर फक्त सांगा. म्हणजे काय रिक्वायरमेंट काय आहेत, म्हणजे तेच समजलं तर मी एकदा VC सरांची चर्चा करतो आणि देन विल जस्ट गो अहेड.
ओके. Almas, if you can tell Sonone sir and me also where all you can place these students. We are talking about entire CR industry, na, clinical research industry.
Agree. Right. करूया सर, डेफिनेटली करूया. आपल्या विद्यार्थ्यांना त्याचा ऍडव्हान्टेज होईल त्याचा.
म्हणजे सर आपल्याला या MMI कोर्स करता आणि आमच्या MIT मध्ये पण वी कॅन क्लिअरली टेल विल बी ट्रेन्ड, विल हेल्प टू प्लेस इन क्लिनिकल रिसर्च इंडस्ट्री.
होय, डेफिनेटली करूयात आपण, डेफिनेटली. आणि काल मॅडमने ज्या इंडस्ट्री दाखवल्या त्या मोठ्या इंडस्ट्रीज आहेत एकदम. हो. लिस्ट जी दाखवली त्याच्यामध्ये. आणि त्यामुळे जर आपले विद्यार्थी अशा इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये जर जात असतील तर दॅट वुड बी ग्रेट फॉर आवर युनिव्हर्सिटी.
Yes.
Right.
Almas madam, whenever you have time, send us 1-page document to me. I can forward it to Sonone sir also.
Okay, sir.
What service you can provide and.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. मॅडम, मला समजलं की तुमचं BSc मायक्रोबायोलॉजी आहे Almas मॅडम.
हो, बेसिक लाईफ सायन्स ग्रॅज्युएशन इन मायक्रो आहे.
राईट. आणि नंतर तुम्ही MBA केलं वाटतं होते.
हो, मी MBA केले इंटरनॅशनल बिझनेस मध्ये.
ओके, ग्रेट. आणि इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये केव्हापासून आहात तुम्ही?
सॉरी,
इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये केव्हापासून आहात, म्हणजे किती वर्ष एक्सपिरियन्स आहे?
मला आता 18 इयर्स झाले.
वाव, ग्रेट, छान.
सर त्या दिसतात लहान पण महान आहेत त्या.
Agree, sir. Agree.
Yes, sir. It's fine.
I totally agree with you, sir. Yes, sir.
Actually, industry related activities as a part of corporate work ते चालू आहे, पण ऍक्च्युली ट्रेनिंग इंडस्ट्री मध्ये आधीपासून मला खूप स्ट्रॉंग इन्क्लिनेशन आहे, म्हणून मी हे
Very
चालूच
nice.
ठेवले. मी MBA चे पण
Yes.
सेशन घेतले होते मणिपाल मध्ये, SMD मध्ये,
अच्छा.
म्हणजे आहे म्हणजे भरपूर ट्रेनिंग सेशन आणि स्पेशली क्लिनिकल रिसर्च आणि वर्कशॉप्स म्हणजे भरपूर आम्ही खूप ठिकाणी केले. ऑफिसमध्ये, कॉर्पोरेट अकॅडमिक्स इन्स्टिट्यूट्स मध्ये चांगलं केले आम्ही.
Very
हॉस्पिटलमध्ये
nice.
GCP ट्रेनिंग, इन्व्हेस्टिगेटर, म्हणजे हे सगळं केले आम्ही. आणि पुढे बघू. मी लिमे सराला पण त्या दिवशी डिस्कस करत होते, आपण अजून काय ट्रेनिंग सेशन फॉर कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल इन्व्हेस्टिगेटर डॉक्टर्स वगैरे, तिथे पण आपल्याला आहे, स्कोप आहे. वी कॅन डू
Very
ऑल
nice.
दोज थिंग्स.
होय होय, नक्की करूयात आपण ते, नक्की करूयात.
सर, आपण शिवाजी युनिव्हर्सिटीच्या थ्रू जर तगलपल्लीवरचा 2 मिनिटं 92 झाले, 2 मिनिटात चालू करूया. आपल्याला
Yes.
शिवाजी युनिव्हर्सिटी आणि MITच्या थ्रू आपल्याला जर डॉक्टर्सना ट्रेन करता आलं ना GCP मध्ये इन्व्हेस्टिगेटर बनण्यासाठी, तर
बर.
आपण या मॅडमची मदत घेऊ शकतो.
ठीक आहे.
त्यांच्याकडे
आपण
टीम आहे.
होय होय, आपण जर काही जर डॉक्टर्स इंटरेस्टेड असेल किंवा वी विल ट्राय टू कॉन्टॅक्ट देम, आणि
Yes.
आपण ते एखादं थोडंसं असं फ्लायर तयार करून एक
हो.
ट्रेनिंग सेशन करूयात आपण डॉक्टरांसाठी.
येस.
नक्की करता येईल, नक्की करता येईल.
ठीक.
नाही, काल मॅडमचं लेक्चर ऐकल्यानंतर मला पण लक्षात आलं की बऱ्याच गोष्टी करू शकतो आपण.
हो ना सर. हो,
होय होय, डेफिनेटली करूयात आपण.
तगलपल्लीवर सर बघा ना काय
Yes,
करायचं.
sir.
10
करायचं
11
चालू,
झाले.
sir. Can I start?
होय, चालेल चालेल.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. I request participants to keep your cell phone on silent mode and mute during the whole session. I, Dr. Amol Tagadpallevar, Associate Professor, School of Pharmacy, Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, Pune, welcome you all, participants and panelists, for 7 days online workshop on practical aspects of drug development, clinical trial, and pharmacovigilance, under the tagline Research of Today for Healthier Tomorrow, jointly organized by Faculty of Pharmacy in collaboration with Shivaji University, Kolhapur. On this second day of workshop, we are very fortunate to have with us Ms. Almas Saeed Madam. She is a PV and SME trainer from Tata Consultancy Services, Pune, the personality with wide experience in pharmacovigilance. Yesterday, Madam very nicely explained us about practical aspects of drug development, clinical trial, major players in clinical trial, sponsors and co-sponsors in clinical trial, confidentiality of data in clinical trial, risk benefit profile in the drug development. She also very nicely explained who can and cannot participate in a clinical trial. So now I request Almas Madam to proceed further. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Amul. Thank you so much for summarizing the topics that we have covered yesterday. So, good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing great, and welcome you all for day 2 of this workshop. I'm sure all of you are all excited to learn further about pharmacovigilance, the regulation part, and especially today we are also going to look at some practical aspects. This is very much related to how and what kind of activities are given as a job opportunities at the initial or the beginning of your career in a clinical research or a pharmacovigilance industry. So I have made some case studies. I have some question and answer session. So we will have to keep a tap on the time so that we can quickly cover all these topics today. I also have some examples. I will take you through some regulatory websites which will be given to you further as a link, so that in the coming days you can browse through it, and there will be some questions and assignment work which will be assigned to you. Okay, so that you have a good understanding and learning of whatever we are learning in these 2 days workshop. Okay, so let us get started without further delay. The first topic that we will begin with today is about the history or background of ICH. Okay, so yesterday I had just spoken or introduced you to the concept of ICH. We will just see what is the background or what was the reason for development or coining the term pharmacovigilance. Okay, so there is some history which led to the birth of pharmacovigilance, and the evolution of ICH and GCP. Okay. Once again, ICH is your International Council of Harmonization. Earlier, the word council was coined as conference. Okay. However, later in 2013, it was converted, it was changed to council. And the second or the latter part, GCP. GCP stands for good clinical practices. Okay. So in this clinical research industry, you will hear these terms or good practices. These are called as GXP standards. I repeat, these are called as GXP standards. For example, GCP is good clinical practice. Similarly, you will hear word acronym like GMP, where GMP stands for good manufacturing practice. This is applicable for all the pharmaceutical products which are being manufactured. Then we have third acronym, which is called as GLP. This stands for good laboratory practice. Okay, so similarly, there are several GXP terms which will be covered or which are part of this guidelines. Okay. Amul, can you open the first presentation for today?
Just a minute, ma'am.
Yeah. So, friends, basically, when we talk about pharmacovigilance, when we talk about all these guidelines, okay, in today's date, okay, I can say that we have really progressed and we have come far away from whatever had happened in the past. So, if I cite you, the history of pharmacovigilance will go back right from 1920s, 1930, 1940, 60, and which each of these decades, there are some events, there are some unpleasant, history which has happened in the past, which actually led to the development of ICH and GCP, such kind of guidelines, different guidelines in various countries, and especially this importance of pharmacovigilance. I'm sure you will be able to understand very much today with this presentation on history of pharmacovigilance. Okay, so please proceed with the next slide. I have included few examples here. Okay, so this is just to have a quick revision of the term pharmacovigilance. So we discussed what is pharmacovigilance. This definition that you see is coming from WHO. Okay, so pharmacovigilance is defined as the science and activities related to the detection. What are we trying to detect? Adverse events. Assessment. There is lots of assessment, evaluation, or analysis required from medical experts, from scientists, from doctors, from researchers, etc. Understanding. Okay, so once you understand, then you will be able to do further evaluation, and finally prevention, or you will also somewhere see words like mitigation. Okay, means to reduce or to prevent adverse events or any other drug related problem. Okay, so when we say drug, yesterday I had mentioned, when we say drug, it can be a device, it can be a vaccine, it can be a drug device combination as well. Okay, so this was about pharmacovigilance. Next slide, please. There are lots of events which has happened in the past. Okay, but I have taken some major events just to give you some idea, some examples, okay, which we are going to see today. I'm sure all of you are aware about chloroform. Okay, we have, as students in school, college, we have used chloroform, while performing some of our experiments also. Now in this particular example, I'm just trying to highlight that earlier there were no good practices, like I just mentioned about GMP. Okay, so such kind of manufacturing requirement or guidelines did not exist in the past, and hence the pharmaceutical industries, they were just manufacturing and selling the products without any kind of quality requirement. There was no quality requirement mentioned, there was no labels that was mentioned on the drug. Today, even if you buy a one strip of antibiotic or a syrup, you will find that in most of these medicines there is a small package insert about which I had mentioned you even yesterday. So this particular package insert helps you to understand if there are any kind of precaution, warnings, any kind of restriction for using the product, and accordingly you can decide whether I should take the drug or I should speak to my doctor, my family doctor, before taking the drug. Okay, but this kind of information was not shared previously. And while taking chloroform, there was, more than 100 to 150 people who died, okay, after taking chloroform, which was being administered as a anesthetic. And this was reported later to the regulatory authorities, to the commission in Britain, and then there was a meeting being held. So I'm just giving you some example of what kind of disaster has happened in the past. Second slide. Okay, again, this was a very, very big disaster which happened somewhere in the year 1937, and this happened in US. Okay, now what happened here? There was one drug which was called as sulfonamide, okay, Elixir. Now, if few of you know, actually the word Elixir, this comes from some, very, very old historical meaning, which means Amrit. Okay, Elixir, if you see the other translation of this particular word. Now, this particular chemical product, they had changed the formulation from a tablet or a dry form to a syrup form. And while making this formulation change, they added a solvent which was called diethylene glycol. Now, when this combination was made, it was not checked that this powder and the solvent in which it is made available as a form of a syrup, whether it is safe to be given to the patients or to the pediatric patients or children's. Okay, and what happened? There were many patients, especially children, who died. The number that you see here is just an example or an arbitrary figure, but if you look on Google, if you do some search, you will see that in US there were many mothers who had written letter to the US FDA complaining about this disaster and how their children have died after experiencing severe itching in their throat, and they died because they had taken this combination or this formulation which was toxic in nature. Okay, so this makes us realize that any product, whether it is new, whether it is old, whether you are changing the route of administration or a formulation, that necessarily have to be tested before it is sold out in the market. Okay, next slide, please. This is a very, very popular and known story or event or tragedy, I should say, which happened way back in 1960s. Okay, probably as students, some of you may be aware about the drug, or you must have heard about thalidomide. Now, I will tell you quickly, this particular drug, thalidomide, this was prescribed to pregnant ladies, okay, pregnant female, for morning sickness, the feeling of vomiting and nausea that female patient experienced during their initial stage of pregnancy. Okay, so for that, thalidomide was prescribed. Now, because it was a prescribed drug, the doctors were prescribing this for morning sickness, and many female patients had taken this drug. However, after they completed their pregnancy period, after 9 months, when they gave birth to their babies, the babies were born with a disorder where their upper limbs, their hand or their lower limbs, means their legs, okay, they were found to be deformed. Okay, medical terminology for this particular disorder is pharmacovigilance. So what had happened, again, this particular drug, it was not safe to be given to pregnant female or to female patient during their pregnancy. This was one of the concern which I had discussed even yesterday under the subject special population. Okay, so even today, when you read many package insert, there is a special instruction written whether the female patient during pregnancy can use a particular drug, during breastfeeding it can be taken, etc., etc. So again, this is a very, very important tragedy which occurred in the past 1960s, and immediately after this tragedy, okay, the government or the regulatory authorities, they started talking about reporting of adverse event. Okay, and after this, a spontaneous reporting form. Spontaneous means the reporting which will happen for the product which is already sold and available in the market, post marketing phase. Okay, and yellow card was established, and yellow card was introduced in 1960s for capturing or reporting of adverse events which are coming or which is occurring because of the drugs which are already sold in the market. Okay, please go to the next slide. Yeah, so I have just included the icon of yellow card. I will be very soon showing you how a yellow card looks like. So UK had introduced yellow card scheme for reporting of ADRs, adverse drug reactions. Okay. Later in 1968, WHO, they started International Drug Monitoring Program, which is coordinated by Uppsala Monitoring Center. It is famously known as UMC. Okay, Uppsala Monitoring Center, this is based in Sweden. Okay, and then in 1979, there was a very comprehensive book which was published, the Belmont Report. And the Belmont Report, it highlighted three concepts: respect for the person, beneficiaries, and justice. This is for all the patients who are participating in the trial. Okay, and then later, very late in the year 1990s, ICH was formed. Okay, so I have highlighted this. International Conference on Harmonization guidelines came into existence. So initially when it was formed, it was labeled, or it was defined as conference. Now the word conference is replaced by council. So now the updated guideline says International Council on Harmonization. Okay, very important for all of you to understand the meaning of the word harmonization. Harmonization, harmony means all together. Okay, so in this ICH, the importance of the word harmonization is that all the regulatory authorities from different countries, different region, should agree to a common guideline, so that all the clinical trials, research, doctors, patients, they can understand about the research part in a common manner. That is the purpose of harmonization. So ICH has done this activity. Okay, and in the next presentation, I will tell you more about ICH. Next slide, please. 93, FDA started MedWatch system. I will show you this MedWatch form. And FDA has a very dedicated adverse event reporting system, which is called as FAERS. Okay, FDA Adverse Event Reporting System. This was started in 97. And they have a very special or specific reporting form which is called MedWatch. I will be sharing all these forms with you so that you can have a look, and I will also give you some exercise from which you can read the information and you can try filling these forms. Okay, way back in 97, after AERS was developed, this particular database, there was some response which came from the European Union, and later in 2001, the UDRA Vigilance database was developed. UDRA Vigilance is a specific database for European Union, and US FDA formed Drug Safety Board to monitor drugs already on the market. So from this particular these 2 to 3 slides, we understand that monitoring the drug is important not only before marketing, but it is much more important to monitor the drugs even after the drug is sold in the market. So the post marketing phase, post marketing surveillance, okay, or past studies, post authorization safety studies, all these things are very important. Okay, next slide. This is just for your reference. There are in during this period, okay, you can see I have just listed some example from 2004 to 2010, but there are different links of US FDA, EMA, and even in India we have PVPI program. I will share the link with all of you at the end of the session. So you can anytime go to any regulatory website and you can see which drugs are banned, which drugs are newly approved in the market, and which drugs are completely banned, or it is banned in one region but it is allowed or sold out in some other countries for some different medical use. Okay, so all this information is freely available, students, for all of you, and I would really encourage all of you that after you complete this workshop, it will be very useful and fruitful for you if you access all these links and try to go through this. It will really give you lots of knowledge, lots of information about the pharmacovigilance and adverse event reporting responsibilities. Okay, next slide, please. So this is about WHO UMC. I have told you we have a very, very significant role or contribution of WHO UMC. So WHO and UMC, this is a collaboration. These two units, they came together and they had developed international PV monitoring center or drug monitoring center. Okay, so just to tell you quickly, all the ADR monitoring center, they collect the report from local, regional, zonal, peripheral centers, and then it goes to international center, which is your Uppsala Monitoring Committee Board, and this UMC is working in collaboration with WHO. Okay, so one of the ADR monitoring center, quickly to give you an example, I'm sure it is there in most of the cities. In Mumbai, we have one of the government hospital which is called as a KM hospital in Mumbai. So this is one of the ADR monitoring or reporting center which is based in Mumbai also. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, the European Union in the year 2012-2013, they had also published a new set of pharmacovigilance legislation, which is called as Good Pharmacovigilance Practice or GVP guidelines. Okay, and there are total 16 modules. All these 16 modules is related to pharmacovigilance, the different concept, the different aspect. Okay, we will not be going very much in detail here because this is very, very intensive or large. Okay, so this is about all the history of ICH, and I'm sure from this presentation you have a very good clarity or idea that why the requirement of pharmacovigilance is there and how important it is for every pharmaceutical company to follow the regulation given from the regulatory authorities and also the guidelines. Okay, next slide. This is about the pharmacovigilance in India. Okay, you can see in the third paragraph I have highlighted Pharmacovigilance Program of India. Okay, so this was developed in 2011. I have already told you about the ADR monitoring centers. Okay, and we have the Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, that is CDSCO. So this is the regulatory body in India, and they are very actively managing this PVPI program. Okay, I will take you to the website later. Okay, once we are done with the training sessions. Next slide, please. Again, these are some classic examples of serious and unexpected adverse reactions. I will explain you the concept, what is the meaning of unexpected adverse reaction very soon in the next presentation. Okay, but this is just for your information, and from this you should be able to understand that even, okay, a very trivial product like an contraceptive which is being used can have some kind of side effect. So right from the year 1930, 1920 till date, there are several drugs which are approved, coming out in the market, but because of some adverse reaction which gets reported, the drugs are discontinued. Okay, and there are some drugs which does not even come to the market. During the research phase, they fail to prove their safety, and hence the trials are discontinued. Then there are some drugs which are approved in the market, but they are approved for limited use, and hence there are restrictions mentioned in the labels. Okay, yeah, next slide. Fine, I think this is about the history. We can quickly move to the ICH and GCP presentation now. So this is the guideline, and I will be sharing the link of ICH and GCP. This is very, very important. If all of you aspire to become clinical research professional or PV professional, you should know ICH and GCP very, very thoroughly. This is very important guideline which is followed globally by all the regulatory authority because it is a harmonized guideline. Okay, and all the hospitals or site where the investigators, that is doctors who are conducting clinical research, they have to be trained on ICH and GCP. even if you join any company, whether it is a hospital or a corporate environment or a CRO or a BPO or an IT company doing pharmacovigilance or clinical research activity, ICH and GCP training is mandatory for all the employees, whether they are junior, whether they are senior. So if you are joining without any experience as a student, you will have to complete ICH and GCP training. Even if there is an experienced professional who is joining with 5 years or 10 years of experience, wherever he or she joins a new company, the company has to do a ICH and GCP training for that employee. So you can understand how important this ICH and GCP trainings are. Okay. Okay. Next slide. You can jump to the next slide, Amol. Okay, so like I have mentioned you earlier, what is the meaning of ICH or this acronym? International Council. Earlier it was conference. When it was formed, it is council. You have to remember. So ICH means International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. So pharmaceuticals will cover everything. Okay, all kinds of drugs are included under pharmaceuticals here. Now, harmonization. So how ICH was formed? So basically the three regions, US, EU and Japan, representative from these three regions, they came ahead and they said that we have to make something which is common so that everyone can follow the same. Okay, otherwise what was happening, all country, all regions, they were doing the research, they were selling the product, they were manufacturing the product in their own way, and because of this there were lots of issues, there were lots of safety related concern, there were lots of risk, and no one was understanding what to do, how to do, who should report, to whom they should report, etc., etc. So the representative from these three regions, very important, I have highlighted in red color, US, EU and Japan. So these three regions were the pioneer. Pioneer means these were the regions who first introduced or who contributed to the formation of ICH. Okay, next slide. These are the historic events which we just discussed in the previous presentation. So I told you about sulfonamide tragedy, what happened. I told you about thalidomide disaster. Okay, I will quickly tell you about the Nazi human experiment. Now what happened during the World War II? Okay, when World War II was happening, there were some prisoners after the war. So the German physicians, what they did, they conducted very, very unethical experiment on these prisoners. And if you recollect, yesterday there was one slide where I had shown you about vulnerable group or special population, and I had mentioned that I will talk about this in ICH and GCP lecture. Okay, so prisoners, because they were prisoners, they were forced to participate in some trials research, and the physicians or the doctors or researchers, okay, they exposed them to very hot, extreme cold and extreme hot chambers. Okay, they immersed them in chilled water, they exposed them to hot pressure gas. Okay, and they perform even some kind of organ transplant and some kind of experimental surgery without even giving them anesthesia, and this was done on male, female and even children's. So this was a very, very unethical experiment which was done, in the 1940s during the World War II on the prisoners. And that is the reason, my friends, it is very important that we follow ethical guidelines, we follow informed consent procedure. The ethics committee is existing there, and they are responsible to make sure that the right safety well-being of every patient, every volunteer who participate in the trial is protected. Okay, so just because some patients are illiterate, poor, because of poverty, because they are not in a good medical condition or having some disease, they should be treated like animals or guinea pig. We cannot accept that, right? And that is the reason we are following all the regulation, all the guideline, all the SOP and the principles. Okay, so I will tell you about the principles also very soon. The last disaster which I have taken on this slide just to share as an example is about the Tuskegee syphilis trial. Now this happened in US. What happened in the Tuskegee trial? I'm sure all of you know what is syphilis. Syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease. Now what happened in syphilis? Some doctors or researchers and scientists, they made a team, and they said they identified all these patients who were suffering from syphilis, and they said that we are treating you for bad blood. But what they did during this time, penicillin, okay, between this period, penicillin was already discovered, but the doctors, the scientists, and the researchers, they purposely did not give the penicillin drug to these patients, okay. And why they have not given the drug? Because they wanted to see that if the patients are left untreated, okay, if they are not given the medicine, how the disease will progress and how much time will it take for the patient to die with disease progression. So you can understand that this was such a unethical thing which was being done, okay. And patients were actually left to die. Okay, so these are again some examples of historical events. If you you can type these terms, key terms on Google, and you will be able to get, much details about all these disaster which has happened in the history. Okay, next slide. This is just about the membership of ICH. So I have already told you, 3 members are representative, three regions, they represented for formation of ICH from US, EU, and Japan. Okay, so in ICH, there is a team. Okay, so you have founding members, you have members from the regulatory authority group, you have some members who are coming from the industry, then there is a standing regulatory members, and then there is a steering committee and observer. So all these members are becoming a part of ICH, and each of these members have their own activity, role, or task to play, so that they keep the principles or the guidelines updated, and they make sure that all clinical trials are being conducted in a very, very ethical manner, okay, and scientifically sound ethical manner. Next slide, please. This is very, very important. ICH has made guidelines which is divided into 4 parts. Q stands for quality, S stands for safety, E stands for efficacy, and M stands for multidisciplinary. Okay, so I repeat again. Q is quality, S is safety, E is efficacy, and M is multidisciplinary. So the ICH guideline is broadly divided into these 4 categories. Very important. Okay, whenever there are some interviews being held, these kind of questions are also asked. What are the ICH guidelines? In how many categories or criteria it is divided? What is Q stand for? What does S stand for? So on and so forth. Okay, please go to the next slide, Amol. Yeah, so I have mentioned this: quality, safety, efficacy, and multidisciplinary. This is the official website. I will be sharing the link at the end of this session. Okay, so you can, it is very, very important that all the students here, all the attendees here, okay, refer this ICH and GCP website. There is lots of information about how clinical trial needs to be conducted. So this is a very authentic, or this is the very dedicated site which will help you to understand about all. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, these are the essential important documents, okay, which are used by different stakeholders while conducting clinical trials. So I will quickly tell you about this, and you can read in detail from the ICH and GCP guideline. Protocol, I have already told you yesterday, clinical trial protocol. This is actually a plan made how clinical trial should be conducted. Which kind of patient should be included? Yesterday we discussed inclusion and exclusion criteria. So all this criteria is mentioned in the protocol. What is the objective of the trial is mentioned in the protocol. Informed consent, I had told you, has to be taken from every patient who is participating in the trial. Case report form, this is a form in which the data of the patient is collected when you are conducting the trial. Okay. Investigator's brochure. Investigator's brochure is used by the investigator or by the doctor who is conducting the research on the patient. And in the investigator's brochure, each and every detail about the product is mentioned, the test product. Okay, the drug which is being tested in the trial, it is called as investigational product. It can be a placebo, or it can be a standard therapy, or it can be a test drug. And then after the trial is completed, we prepare a report. I had mentioned that we make a report which is submitted to the regulatory authority. So the name of that report is case study report. Okay, and during the clinical trial also, if there is any adverse event which is experienced by the patient, the investigator, that is the doctor, should fill the SAE form, adverse event reporting form. Okay, and submit this to the regulatory authority and to the ethics committee. So this is very, very important. Okay, so these are some examples of essential documents. You can read very much in detail about each of this from ICH and GCP guideline. Okay, next slide. So this is about good clinical practice. What is the definition? It is a standard. Okay, see, it is not important that you have to memorize the definition, but you should understand the meaning, that it is a standard way of designing the trial, conducting the trial, performing, monitoring the trial, doing audit, recording, analyzing the data, and reporting adverse events, and making a data report of clinical trial outcome and submitting it to the health authority. Okay, what will happen with this? This will help everyone to have an assurance that the data is reported, it is credible, you can trust the data, it is correct, it is accurate. And very important that while doing this clinical trial, the right safety and well-being and the confidentiality of the patient was protected, which means that you have not conducted the trial, okay, by compromising on the confidentiality, safety, right of the patient. All these things has to be taken care of. This is what your definition of GCP stays. Okay, and what is the advantage of complying with ICH and GCP? I already told you the concept of harmonization. If companies, if pharmaceutical companies, or if hospitals, doctors, investigators, all clinical research professional, PV professional, they are supposed to follow all these people in whatever role capacity they are working, everyone, each and everyone, they are supposed to follow ICH and GCP, so that the right safety and well-being of the subject is protected, and the clinical data which is generated, it is genuine, it is authentic, it is not manipulated, or it is not falsified. Okay, that is the purpose of GCP. Next slide. These are the participants in a clinical trial which I had discussed, or I had shown you yesterday. You will find in detail the role and responsibilities of all these stakeholders in your ICH and GCP guideline. Okay, sponsor, a company or an individual who is doing three things: initiating the trial, financing the trial, and managing the trial. Investigator, medically qualified doctor who's conducting the trial. Ethics committee is a group or team of committee who comes from scientific and non-scientific background, and they are responsible to ensure that the right safety and well-being of the patient is protected. Monitor, this term I had not explained you yesterday, so I will tell you what is the meaning of monitor. Monitor is also called as clinical research associate, clinical research associate, or a CRA. The monitor is a individual who goes to the site and who will check each and every data information which the doctor or the investigator is doing and filling on the case report form. Okay, so for the patient, whatever report they are making, the monitor will go and check. So this will give an assurance that the investigator or the doctor is not fabricating or manipulating the data. Okay, regulatory authorities. Okay, we are going to see the regulatory authorities in the next presentation. Patient and subject, so these are people who are participating in the trials. Okay, next slide. Ethics committee, I have told you what is the requirement for ethics committee. They are heterogeneous group. This is a very specific composition, and this is mentioned in ICH and GCP. There can be more than 10, 12, or even 13 members in ethics committee, but minimum requirement is for forming a quorum. Okay, like in your parliament, you know, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, you have a quorum, na, minimum number of people required for voting. The same principle applies for ethics committee. Okay, minimum quorum required is 5 members, out of which 1 member should have interest in non-scientific area, 1 member who is independent. Matlab, the person should not be from the institute. Okay, yesterday I told you, gave you an example. If I am working as a ethics committee member in Tata Memorial Hospital, then I cannot, if there is a trial happening in Tata Memorial Hospital, then because I am a part of the same institute, I cannot become the ethics committee member chairperson. Okay, why it is done? To make sure that there is no bias, because if I am coming from the same institute or same hospital, there is a possibility that I will take or give my opinion in favor of the institute and maybe not in favor of the patient or study. Okay, so this, to avoid this bias, such kind of restrictions are made. Okay, in fact, if for Indian GCP or in the NDCT rules, the ethics committee composition in India, they also say equal representation of gender. Means they say that at least 1 female member should be present as a part of a quorum. Okay, so all these details you will, I will request everyone to read thoroughly your ICH and GCP to get all details or good learning about ICH and GCP. Next slide. Okay, I have explained you the entire process of informed consent because this is very, very important. Okay, how informed consent is taken. So first is the process of introduction. So if I'm an investigator, I am a doctor. Okay, and I have patient who wants to participate in the trial. So first I will give him or her introduction about the trial. Okay, I will explain him everything about the trial. Then I will explain him about his responsibility as a patient, how many years it will take, what he is supposed to do, what he is not supposed to do. Okay, then I will ask the patient if they have understood whatever I have spoken. Okay, then I will allow the patient some time for asking question, and after understanding everything, if he wants some time, 1 day, 2 day, okay, he or she can take some time, and after they have understood everything and they agree, then they will give their confirmation by signing on the consent form. So the informed consent process is taken in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 steps. Okay, now I'm sure some of you must be thinking how informed consent can be taken if some patients are not literate, means they don't understand any language. Okay, so important thing for all of you to understand, when I say literate, does not mean that they should be literate only in English. Okay, informed consent, please make a note of this, is available in multiple language. If you ask me, in India we are speaking so many languages, right? So informed consent form, if it is in Gujarat, Gujarati, Marathi, in Maharashtra we have informed consent form which is used again in Marathi. In fact, we are in a cosmos city, so in every region, or if it is in some very rural area, the informed consents are translated in different languages. Okay, so with that I will like, if any one of you is interested in becoming a translator also, if you are good in have more than 1, 2 or 3 language, you can also become a part of this team, where the informed consent requires a translation in different languages: English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, on global level, Spanish, German, French, all possible languages, because every patients, they are participating in the trial from different region, different countries. They want to read and have a form which in a language which they understand. Okay, so that is another scope for people who are interested in languages. Next slide.
Hello.
Okay, this is, yeah.
Madam, can I interrupt? I have a very small question. Nowadays, the audio informed consent forms are available, or this facility is not available?
Yeah, so the audio video forms are available, ma'am. But what happens is, like, depending upon which sponsor and what kind of trial is being conducted, there are some restrictions because of the confidentiality, right? Because if you see, in ICH and GCP, we are also talking about protecting the confidentiality of the patient. At the same time, we have to make sure that the investigator or the doctor is not manipulating or hiding some information from the patient. So there has to be a good balance of these two information. So in some cases, they are allowed to have audio video. Especially in India, this was made, mandatory, and that was the reason, almost some 15 years back, the number of clinical trials actually it came down because of one of this reason, and second reason was compensation to the subject. Okay, so I will tell you that this also depends upon who is the sponsor, and the sponsor or the patient and the institute where the trial is being run, they all have to agree with this. Okay.
Yeah, 2-3 years back they made compulsory all the video recording and all. Then now
Correct,
it is
correct.
existing or not? Now it has been closed, no?
Yeah, see, because there are some global sponsors who are not agreeing to this process of having an audio video, right? So see, it is there in the regulation or guideline, but the two parties who are involved, they both have to mutually agree, or accordingly they will have to make sure that in any which ways, if they are deviating, then how they are taking care of that deviation. So that has to be documented.
It is not
And
mandatory. Now it is not mandatory. Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
And this has to be informed to the ethics committee also. Okay, ma'am?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now, in case if the patient is not able to understand, or maybe not in a mental capacity of understanding and giving a consent, then the investigator can invite an impartial witness. Impartial witness will be a person who is not belonging either to the doctor institute or to the patient. He is just a third neutral person who can witness the discussion between the patient and the done. So this is how the consent is taken from the patient who is not able to understand, or who is illiterate. On the other hand, if there is some patient who is brought to some hospital or in some condition where he or she is not able to or give the consent, then you also have the provision to invite the LAR, legally accepted representative. So if it is a mother, the father, the child, the husband, wife, spouse, legally related family members can give the consent on behalf of the patient. So this is the provision done for taking consent from patients in different conditions or in different scenarios. Okay. And this is very, very important part about informed consent as a part of conducting clinical trial, and also as a part of requirement mentioned in ICH and GCP. Next slide. This is the last important part which is mentioned in ICH and GCP about conducting audits and inspection. Okay, so we are learning about so many stakeholders, so many documentation. So who is going to check that everything is done as per the requirement? So there has to be one outsider, neutral person, right? And that is the reason audit is done. I'm sure all of you have heard the word audit. Audit is done in all kind of industries. So basically audit is a very systematic and planned procedure which is done by third independent company to make sure that everything is done in a very non-biased manner as per the requirement, SOP, protocol, regulation, ethics committee requirement, ICH and GCP guideline, etc., etc. On the other hand, what is an inspection? Inspection is conducted by the regulatory authorities. Okay, I repeat, inspection is conducted by regulatory authorities. So regulatory authority can conduct inspection of the pharmaceutical company, of the CRO, BPO, IT company, or any other MNC or company where the pharmaceutical company or the sponsor has outsourced their clinical research or pharmacovigilance related activity. So I will give you an example. Say for example, we are if I'm a sponsor and I have outsourced my pharmacovigilance activity to some small company in Mumbai or in India, anywhere in some other city or region. Okay, so if I'm conducting this trial for, if it is a US based trial, then the US FDA can come to India and can go to that hospital or site in Mumbai or to that CRO or to that MNC or IT company and perform or conduct an inspection. Okay, so that is the meaning of inspection. So audit and inspection are again very, very important activity or oversight activity to make sure that everything is done correctly. And during an inspection, the sponsors are also being inspected just to make sure that they are not deviating or they are not hiding any information, data, or they are not incorrectly administrating the drug, or including patients who are not eligible to participate in the trial. Okay, so all these things are taken care with the help of these procedures done as audit or as inspection by the regulatory authorities. Okay, I think we are done with this GCP now. Amol, I would just like to take a small break of 5 minutes and then we can continue with the next session. Please request all the participants to be online and they can just be on mute, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
So I request all the participants to take a break of 5 minutes and immediately join after 5 minutes for next session. Thank you so much.
अमोल सर मीटिंग लीव नका करायला सांगू. अमोल सर.
Oh. All the participants, don't leave the meeting. It is again very difficult to rejoin the meeting. All the participants, you are requested to don't leave the meeting.
Hello, Amol. Can we start?
Yes, ma'am, you can start now.
Okay. All right. So, friends, we have seen about the history of ICH and GCP, and we have also seen all the important concepts about ICH and GCP guideline in the second presentation, right? So, I'm sure from this you have understood why the guidelines are important, mandatory, and what is the requirement of pharmacovigilance also. Okay, so now I will quickly show you about, or we will talk about the different regulatory authorities. Okay, so yesterday, if you recollect, I had mentioned that whenever I talk about regulatory authorities, I just refer to them as big boss. Okay, so I'm sure all of you know about the Big Boss serial, which is hosted by Salman Khan, right? So I will just say why I call them as Big Boss, just on a softer note, so that the students remember, because when we talk about regulatory authorities, they are watching, or they are looking at everyone at any time, at any moment, who is doing what, whether it is a sponsor, whether it is a patient, whether it is a ethics committee, or whether it is an investigator or a CRO, or any company who is doing clinical research or pharmacovigilance related activity. Okay, so when I say that they are looking at them, does not mean that they are physically looking, but they are having an oversight by getting each and every details scrutinized and information. So you cannot hide anything from the regulatory authorities, otherwise they will catch hold of you, and there is a very severe, or very I can say stringent punishment penalty for the sponsor, for the investigator, if they are doing, or if they are found to be involved in any kind of manipulative trials, clinical research, or if they are compromising on the right safety well-being of the patient, or if they are manipulating or hiding some information or data. Okay, so that is the reason your regulatory authorities, I refer to them as big boss, or they are very, very important. They are also keeping an eye on the sponsor, so that the pharmaceutical company does not hide, okay, any negative part of their drug, that is any side effect or adverse reactions or events about the drug, okay, just to bring the new drug or to retain the drug in the market. So regulatory authorities are very, very important stakeholder in this phase of, or in this domain of clinical research and pharmacovigilance. Okay, so we will look at each of them, and again I will be providing links where you can go and you can read more about all these regulatory authorities, the regulation, their instruction, guidelines, etc., etc. The next slide, Amol. Okay, so why regulatory authorities are important, I have already told you. Okay, so they are responsible for each and everything. When the trial is being conducted, the drug requires export or import from different regions across countries. This approval is given by regulatory authority. Yesterday, if you recollect, I had mentioned about submission of IND, right? Investigational new drug. IND is submitted after preclinical study, asking permission to start clinical study. So this submission is given again, submitted to regulatory authority, and regulatory authority will approve your clinical trial. After clinical trial is done, again an NDA or a marketing authorization application is submitted, which again needs to be approved by the regulatory authority. So commercializing the product and the label, everything has to be approved by the regulatory authority. If the regulatory authority is asking any further information about the product, the sponsor, the pharmaceutical company will have to provide that information. If they do not provide the information in the required or in the given period, the license can be cancelled for the manufacturer. The license can be cancelled for the investigator or for the doctor who is, not conducting the trial as per the guideline or protocol. And the regulatory authority can also call for withdrawal of the trial, or they are the one who are responsible for announcing a product has to be banned in the market or withdrawn from the market. So that is the role, importance or significance of a regulatory authority. Okay, next slide. I'm sure all of you know about this, but it is very important that you should understand about the regulatory authorities or bodies that exist in India. We have some council like Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, CDSCO, I believe you already know. Then Government of India, Directory of Health Organization, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So these are some of the regulatory bodies or authorities that exist in India who are responsible in different capacity for trial related approvals activities in India. Next slide. So for the regulatory authorities, FDA is in US. We have EMA in the European Union, MHRA in UK, MHLW in Japan and CDSCO in India. Okay, so I have already told you what are the responsibilities of these regulatory authorities. I have taken some screenshot of their website, which you can also check from Google directly. Okay, so please proceed to the next slide. Yeah, so this is the US, about the US FDA. Now for US FDA, there are two types of, or there is one dedicated form which is used for reporting of adverse events. The name of this form is MedWatch form. Okay, I repeat, in US, the adverse events are reported by the help of MedWatch form, and MedWatch form is of two types. One is used by patients and one is used by healthcare professionals. So one is used for mandatory reporting and one is used for voluntary reporting. Voluntary means you may or you may not report it. But mandatory reporting is especially for some healthcare professional and made mandatory for some drug which are like, high risk profile drugs. Okay, so this form is used in US. I repeat once again, MedWatch form is used for reporting adverse event in US. Okay, next slide. This is the website of US FDA. You will be able to download the MedWatch form from this website, and all other information about the drug, device and other products that US FDA is regulating, you will find on this website. Okay, this is a very useful information website. I will share the link. Please make sure that you are browsing through this website. Next slide, please. Okay, the next regulatory authority is EMA. This is the website for the European Medicine Agency, EMA. Okay, so EMA is in the European Union. Now in European Union, there are 28 member states. Okay, and hence any procedure for conducting of trial or approval of drug cannot be done in one go. So there are different types of challenges: centralized procedure, decentralized procedure. Okay, for getting permission or approval of drugs in the European Union. Again, this is the EMA website. All information about reporting form, reporting database, all drugs, medicine, which drugs have been recalled, which is the latest drug which has been approved or banned, withdrawn from the market. All this information you can get. You can see on the right hand side, there is all information for the patient. There is information for the healthcare professional. Okay. So yesterday there was one question from the attendees and they had asked me that how information about the new drugs or vaccine can be made available to the public or to the healthcare professional. So I had mentioned this. So this is an example. Okay, on the right hand side, if you see, there is information which can be used by students. There are information that can be used by media, pharmaceutical companies, information that can be used by doctors, healthcare professionals, and information that is used for laymen, that is for patients. Okay, so all this information, whatever EMA has approved, and they decide what information can be shared publicly, they post it on their website. Okay, so again, this is a very important, useful website. Next slide, please, Samol. Okay, this is about the yellow card. We had studied about the thalidomide tragedy, right, in ICH and GCP and history of ICH and GCP. So this yellow card was introduced way back in 1960, immediately after the thalidomide tragedy happened. And this yellow card is still used in the United Kingdom for reporting of adverse reaction happening for the sold market, for the drugs which are already marketed. Okay. Again, this is very important. These are the different types of reporting form. And once you start your job as a clinical research or as a pharmacovigilance professional, you will be filling this form and sharing this to the sponsor, to the pharmaceutical companies, okay, or sharing this with the hospitals or with different partners. If you are working in a company where you are working as a pharmacovigilance professional, then you will receive this form from some investigator, doctors, healthcare professional, and you will be analyzing the data information with the help of different kinds of database. Okay, so I'm telling this is a very good job opportunity, and you have to be very good with all these types of information data. And I will give you some links, or I will show you this sample form so that you have a good understanding or hands-on how this form looks and what kind of information needs to be filled in this form. Okay. Next slide, please. In Japan, the regulatory authority is PMDA plus MHLW. Okay, so PMDA, they usually deal with the device. I had mentioned you that device is also a regulated product, right? And MHLW. So the Pharmaceutical Medical Device Agency and MHLW, they work in collaboration, like in partnership. Okay, so that is PMDA. This is the regulatory body or authority in Japan. Next slide. Okay, I have already spoken about CDSCO and PVPI program in India, right? So again, I will be sharing the link. Please go ahead and you should read more about CDSCO, CDSCO, and you should also look on the Pharmacovigilance program of India. Okay, it is very interesting. At least we, being an Indian, you should be able to understand how the how in India the reporting form is being captured, what kind of information should be filled on the reporting forms. Okay. Next slide. This is about.
Hello, ma'am. Can you see the slide?
Yeah, I can see the slide now. It was little blurred. No problem. Okay, this is called as CIOMS, Council for International Organization of Medical Sciences. So this is a council which was jointly developed by WHO and UNESCO. Okay, so CIOMS is also, they have different working groups or working parties, and we have a standard reporting form which is coming from CIOMS. Again, this CIOMS form is used for reporting of adverse reaction, and it is a standard form which is accepted in different regions or in different countries. Okay. Next slide. About ICH, we have just seen. Okay. So I will not repeat this once again because we have already covered in detail about ICH. So ICH is International Council on Harmonization, right? So this is also giving you complete guidelines, and these are all the efficacy guidelines. Okay, all this information is available on ICH guideline on the ICH link. Okay, so these are all the efficacy guidelines. I told you that there are quality guideline, efficacy guideline, safety guideline, okay, and multidisciplinary guidelines. 4 guidelines, QSM. Next slide. This is about the WHO program for international drug monitoring. Who is doing the WHO program? WHO is doing this program in collaboration with UMC. UMC stands for Uppsala Monitoring Committee Board, which is based in Sweden. Okay, and all the information, all the adverse event reports, it is going to a very big database which is called as VIGI-base. Okay, I will repeat once again. For US, the database is FAERS, FDA Adverse Event Reporting System. Second, in the European Union, the database is called Pharmacovigilance. Okay, and WHO, UMC, this international drug monitoring program, they are capturing all the adverse event and storing all the adverse event in the database which is called as VIGI-base. Okay, so it contains millions and millions of reports. You can understand that it is a International Drug Monitoring Program. So all the reports globally, whatever is being reported, it is coming to this database. It's a very, very huge, reservoir of all kinds of adverse event reporting form. And WHO UMC, okay, please make a note. Again, a very important information. WHO UMC is doing a very, very significant or critical role in identifying signal. I will explain you very shortly what is the meaning of signal. Okay, WHO UMC is doing a very, very important or critical task in identifying signals. Okay, so this signals is a drug signal. Okay, I will tell you what is the meaning of signal very soon in the next presentation. Next slide. I think this module is completed. We can start with the next part. Yeah.
Oh, okay, ma'am. I'll just stop this.
Sure.
Yes. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, yes, it is visible. Please make slideshow.
Make a slideshow. Yeah, please, please. Yes.
Okay. So, friends, this is again a very, very important concept, very important presentation. Whenever you join clinical research or a pharmacovigilance role, there are some basic trainings which are provided to you. And also, whenever there is a interview conducted for selecting the candidate in the clinical research or pharmacovigilance group or team, okay, all this important definition should be known, and these are asked even during the interview process. Okay. So we know what is the definition of pharmacovigilance. We have studied yesterday, we have studied even today. Okay, so we will learn some more definitions which are used in the pharmacovigilance domain. Okay, please proceed to the next slide. Okay, pharmacovigilance definition, this is coming from WHO. We have already seen this definition. This is the definition of pharmacovigilance. Okay. However, friends, I will tell you that whenever you are talking to someone or during an interview, the person who is taking your interview does not expect that you by heart the definition and tell them. What is important is how you are able to share your understanding about the definition. Okay, so that is how you should study, or that is how you should keep the definitions or concepts or topics in your mind. You don't have to by heart or mug up. The understanding is very important. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is very, very important. In pharmacovigilance, you should always have this as a picture. Yesterday, I had explained you in detail about the concept of risk and benefit. Okay, so once again, I will tell you quickly that all your clinical trial related activities or pharmacovigilance activities is based on the concept of this risk and benefit evaluation. Any drug is allowed to come in the market only if the benefit is more than the risk. I repeat, any drug is permitted to come in the market only if the benefit is more than the risk. Okay. Also, after the study is completed and after the drug is marketed, there are some new information that becomes available. I already told you yesterday that clinical trials are conducted for a short duration, 2 years, 3 years. Okay, so in this short duration, 3 या 4 साल में हमें पूरा ड्रग के बारे में पता नहीं चल जाता, right? We are not able to get each and every detail or safety profile of the drug in a short period of 3 to 4 years. But when the drug comes in the market, more and more people are taking it. There are more chances of identifying, discovering new information, new details, new adverse reaction about the drugs. And the actual data, actual safety data about the drug is coming from the post-marketing phase. That is when the drug is out in the market. Once it is manufactured and commercialized, once it is supplied to the investigator, doctors, healthcare professional, and to the patients. Okay, this is very, very important. And that is the reason lots of information, safety related information will come in the post-marketing phase. Okay. The same is true for the COVID vaccine that we are taking. Okay, lots of information related to the safety aspect of the new COVID vaccine will be known in the coming few years or months. And that is very important, which needs to be reported to the regulatory authorities and to the concerned pharmaceutical companies or sponsors. Okay, so if the drug is there in the market, already made available to the patient, what will happen if there are some risk identified? Again, they will look at the risk and benefit. If there is some other drug which can take care of the patient's disease or condition and it is comparatively safer, then what will happen? The drug which is having more side effect will be banned, okay, or the use will be restricted. I will give you one example. There is one drug which can be used by all patients of age group 18 to 55. I repeat, there is one drug A, for example, which can be used, which is used for, I will use the same example so that you are able to, relate, which I had given you yesterday. Suppose there is one drug A, which is used for treating a condition of, let's say, hypertension, high blood pressure. Okay. Now, this drug is approved and it is safe to be used between the age group 18 to 55. However, after the drug is made available in the market, some patients start taking the drug, and some female patients reported that after using the drug for 6 months or 1 year, they are reporting they are continuously getting UTI infection, urinary tract infection. Okay, which is happening only in female patients. It is not reported by male patients. Then what will happen? The use will be restricted, or there will be a warning or precaution mentioned in the label that caution should be taken while administering the drug to the female patient. There is a high chance or possibility of urinary tract infection. So the doctor or the investigator will have to use some medical intervention or medical procedure to make sure that the UTI is being treated while the female patient is taking this drug A. Now, this was an example of an infection or an event which could be handled by some other, antibiotics or with some other medication. Suppose there is an event which is much more serious in nature. Like, say, for example, the same drug A, which is used for treating hypertension or managing hypertension, is causing some kind of carcinogenic effect. Okay, maybe some patients have reported breast cancer or colon cancer or gastric cancer. Then what will happen? Now the risk is high. Cancer is much more severe or a critical condition compared to hypertension. I hope all of you are understanding. I will repeat this once again. Okay, a condition or a side effect or a risk of cancer is very, very high compared to treating the condition or managing the condition of hypertension. In that case, what will happen? The regulatory authority will tell, withdraw the product. Okay, because for hypertension, the patient will have more choice, more option. कोई दूसरा hypertension का drug use कर सकते हैं, ये drug नहीं use करेंगे because this particular drug is now having additional risk which is critical in nature. When I compare the risk and benefit, your benefit is going down. Okay, I am taking the drug to manage my hypertension, but I am inviting the risk of developing colon cancer, gastric cancer, breast cancer, etc. So definitely the risk is going much more than the benefit. So the product will be withdrawn from the market. Okay, I hope you have understood. Next slide, please. This is a very important definition. Now we have seen the definition of pharmacovigilance. Then there are some concepts which are used very specific in the pharmacovigilance industry. Okay, as a pharmacovigilance professional, you should know this, understand this definition. Okay, now when I say adverse event, what is the meaning of adverse event? The definition given here is taken from different guidelines, but I will tell you a very definition because I do not want to make this difficult or complicated for you. Definition is available everywhere online. You can read and you can get the definition, but my important objective is to make you understand, so I will give you a very simple definition. Adverse event is an event which may or may not be related to the drug. Okay, I will repeat. Adverse event is an event which may or may not be related. हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है. That is the meaning of an adverse event. Second definition is an adverse drug reaction or an adverse drug event. In case of an adverse drug event, okay, there is at least a reasonable possibility. I repeat, there is a reasonable possibility that the event has happened because of the drug. Point number one. Point number two, in a case where you cannot overrule the relationship between the event and the drug. मतलब हम overrule नहीं कर पाते कि ये event ये drug की वजह से नहीं है. Right? That is the meaning of overrule. So in that case also, the suspect will remain. The suspect factor will remain. What is the meaning of suspect? Suspect means doubt. Suspect means doubt. In a very layman's language, suspect means doubt, possibility. Okay, like say for example, if I am a CID or if I'm a I'm an inspector. Suppose a crime has happened. One person has been murdered. There is a possibility that there will be 4 suspects, 5 suspects. Okay, I'm just giving you this example so that you are able to correlate. So there are 5 suspects or 4 suspects, but out of them there is a possibility that only one person has actually done the murder or has killed a person. On similar lines, in a similar way, when there is a patient who is taking 5 drugs, 7 drugs or 10 drugs and has reported one event, okay, you don't know which drug has exactly caused the event, right? Because patient एक साथ में 10-15 medicine ले रहा है. How are we going to know which drug has caused the event? So all the drugs will become a suspect drug depending upon their start and end date and depending upon their pharmacological effect, which is already known to you. Okay, so in that case you will have to do causality assessment, which is again an important role or job opportunity in the pharmacovigilance domain or industry. Okay, so you will have to check or you have to use some procedure, some evaluation, some analysis to identify that the adverse event is because of which drug out of 5 drugs which the patient was taking. Okay, so I will of adverse drug event or adverse drug reaction once again, that an adverse drug reaction or event is an event where there is a reasonable possibility. आपको कहीं पे थोड़ा डाउट है, शक है, possibility लगता है, then we say it is an adverse drug event. Or second, when you are not able to overrule. Okay, overrule means you are not able to say that it is not because of that. Okay, like say for example, I'll give you one more very simple example. Okay, when you are solving some MCQ, okay, or I'll give you one very classical example. I'm sure all of you have seen the Amitabh Bachchan episode of KBC, Kaun Banega Crorepati, right? So in that KBC also there is one question and there are options given, and there is an option when you have doubt between two answers, you can select the option of selecting 2 wrong answers which will be taken from the screen, and then you can choose between 1 and 2, right? So this is again an example of overruling, means something that you know is not related, it can be overruled on some basis if you have some information, some detail. Okay, similarly, okay, fever is a very common symptom. Fever is a very common symptom, and especially with COVID, now everyone who is getting a fever because of any other infection or just because of stress, they are also worried that, or they are thinking that whether the fever is because of COVID. Correct? So now, how are you going to overrule? Whenever you are having a fever, it is not going for 1 day, 2 day. You see the temperature, it is above 100, whatever. What happens? The doctor has to overrule whether it is because of some bacterial infection, fungal infection, viral infection, whether it is dengue, whether it is malaria, whether it is typhoid, etc., etc. So they are asking you to do all the investigation and diagnosis and basis that they overrule. Okay, typhoid test is negative, then it is overruled. Malaria test, on the slide the malaria parasite is observed, then you get a confirmation that okay, it is malaria, so on and so forth. So I'm just giving you this example for all of you to understand that how overrule the concept of attributing related hai ya unrelated hai, how it is done in the field of pharmacovigilance. And this is very important. If you take up a job opportunity in pharmacovigilance as a case processor, data scientist, this is something you will be doing. Okay, this is also one of the activity that you will be doing. Okay, next slide, please. So I told you about causality. What is the meaning of causality? Causality means what is the relationship between the drug and the event. If the event is not because of the drug, then there has to be some reason because of which the event has occurred, right? So I'll give you an example. Suppose there is a patient and the patient is experiencing GI bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding हो रहा है एक patient को, okay? And the patient is taking 5 drugs. The patient is taking 5 drugs at the same time. Now the doctor or the investigator is saying that the gastrointestinal bleeding is not because of any of the drugs. It is because of some underlying condition of the patient. Patient को किसी तरह का disease है या event है because of which the gastrointestinal bleeding is happening. So there is some infection in the colon, and because of that, or there is an appendix, or there is some kind of other condition, okay, because of which the bleeding is happening. So now in this case, what has happened? We have attributed the reason of the event to some cause. If it is not drug, it has to be something, है ना, कि कोई तो reason कारण होना चाहिए. तो वो कारण क्या है, हमें वो कारण को find out करना पड़ता है. Okay, so if it is drug, we have to find out, or if it is related to the condition of the patient, age of the physiological condition of the patient. Some things can be related to genetic condition, hereditary condition. I'm sure all of you know that there are some diseases which is because of some hereditary condition. Okay, HAE, hereditary angioedema. Okay, ये condition में क्या होता है? The patient usually develops some kind of swelling, itching, on some parts of their body or on their overall body part. So this is a hereditary condition. Okay, so it may not be because of the drug. So all these things you have to find out and assess, and this is what we do in pharmacovigilance. Okay, so understanding the event is because of which factor, condition, drug, age, physiological condition, genetic condition, etc., etc. That is the meaning of causality assessment. Okay, next slide. This is a definition of a serious adverse event. We have studied a definition of adverse event, adverse drug event. This is the definition of serious adverse event. Serious adverse event. What is the meaning of serious adverse event? Adverse event and adverse drug event we have defined in terms of the relation with the drug. है ना? Drug से related है या unrelated है. On the other hand, when we talk a serious adverse event primarily is defined in terms of the outcome. Patient को क्या हुआ? That is the meaning of outcome. Okay, so any event because of which the patient died, serious adverse event. The event was life threatening, मतलब patient मर सकता था. It was so critical or it was so serious that in absence of a medical intervention, the patient could have died. That is the meaning of life threatening event. Okay, or the event which is resulting in hospitalization of the patient, increasing the hospitalization period. It is causing some kind of congenital abnormality or birth defect. I'll give you an example. अभी हमने ICH and GCP में thalidomide tragedy पढ़ा था, right? We studied about the thalidomide tragedy. The babies to the pregnant female were born with phocomelia, hand or foot deformed, correct? Seal. So that is an example of congenital abnormality or birth defect. Why it happened? Because the female patient during their pregnancy, they had taken the drug thalidomide, and it happened because of the thalidomide drug. Okay, so that is the outcome. Kya hua, right? So that is again called as a serious adverse event. And the last one, if there is any adverse event which is showing on the some kind of report, some kind of medical investigation or diagnosis. Let's say, for example, the platelet count has significantly dropped down, 30,000, 40,000. Usually happens in viral infection, okay, dengue, malaria. So this is an abnormal lab count. This is an example of a serious adverse event. If the patient is again not in a good condition, right? So it is a serious adverse event. So once again, I will tell you, serious adverse event means what happened to the patient. Patient ko kya hua? The outcome of the patient. Basis that a serious adverse event is defined. So death, life-threatening, hospitalization, increased hospitalization, congenital abnormality, birth defect, disability, or any other medically significant lab value. All these outcomes come under serious adverse event. Okay, One interesting thing, serious adverse event हमने कैसे define किया है? We have defined basis the outcome. What happened to the patient? Serious adverse event can be related to the drug, cannot be related to the drug. I will give you one example. There is a patient who is taking a drug for hypertension. Okay, and he is well his hypertension or high blood pressure is well managed, well controlled. But once he goes to his native place and there he is driving, he meets with a car accident and he dies. Now because he has died, it is a serious adverse event, but is it related to the drug? You don't know. Okay, there is a possibility that the patient just died because he was not driving carefully. Okay, or there is a possibility that the drug induced some kind of maybe blurred vision. वो ड्रग लेने से उसकी आंखों के आगे अंधेरा हो गया, राइट, ब्लैकआउट हो गया, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ विच ही कुड नॉट सी द व्हीकल, ही लॉस्ट द कंट्रोल, और बिकॉज ऑफ द ड्रग ही स्टार्टेड फीलिंग सम काइंड ऑफ शेकिंग सेंसेशन. ओके, ट्रेमर्स उसको हम बोलते हैं, ट्रेमर्स. यूजुअली ओल्ड पेशेंट एक्सपीरियंस ट्रेमर्स, राइट, उनका हाथ पैर कांपता है, दैट इज कॉल्ड ट्रेमर्स. So because of the drug, the patient, while he was driving his car, suddenly he experienced some kind of tremors in his hand and he lost control, and he met with an accident. So these are the different reasons how you will have to assess whether the serious adverse event is related to the drug or it is not related to the drug. Okay, so all these things come under your responsibility as a pharmacovigilance professional. Okay, I'm sure you are liking this. Okay, and it is understood, well understood. You will not understand 100% because it is too much, but slowly as you start reading, okay, by doing some practice, it will be clear to you. At this stage there is a possibility that you might have some kind of confusion or some kind of difficulties to understand, but I have tried my best giving you examples to make you understand. Okay, next slide please. Okay, unexpected ADR. What is the meaning of unexpected? I did not expect that it will rain today. I did not expect that the guest will come to my home, or I did not expect a friend to come home. So that was a surprise. In this case, in the field of pharmacovigilance, when I say unexpected, means something which was not known. हमें नहीं पता था, मुझे नहीं पता था, किसी को नहीं पता था, जो स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उन्हें नहीं पता था, और basis whatever information, detail, data, safety information which is available about the drug, from that information it was not known. That is the meaning of unexpected ADR. I'll give you an example related to the COVID vaccine. Everyone knows that after taking COVID vaccine, or usually after taking any kind of vaccine, even when the babies, okay, when we were young and we have taken polio, BCG, okay, H1N1, etc., hepatitis and measles, whatever. So all these vaccines, in depending upon what type of vaccine it is, usually there can be some kind of injection site pain, reddening, okay, there can be some kind of rigors, there can be some kind of fever, okay, which can happen as a response to the vaccine. Similarly, with COVID vaccine, injection site pain, fever, weakness, fatigue for 3 to 4 days are reported. So these are known adverse reaction, expected, हमें पता है. On the other hand, any other event which is not known becomes unexpected event. Okay, I hope it is simple to understand. So whatever is known, that is written somewhere. Okay, in the GCP presentation, ICH and GCP, in the morning we studied about investigators brochure, right? And I told you that everything, जो भी हमें ड्रग के बारे में till date, whatever information, जानकारी, information, जे काय माहिती आपल्याला ड्रग बद्दल आहे, ठीक है, all those information is listed, mentioned in the investigator brochure. That is the requirement. And this investigator brochure has to be updated on a regular basis. But whatever information is not known to us, right, how it will be documented? So that information, that adverse event becomes unexpected. Okay, so that is the meaning of unexpected ADR, which is not known to us. I hope this is clear. Next slide. This is the definition which is called as a SUSAR. SUSAR is again a type of adverse event, and there are three important criteria which makes a event as a SUSAR. So if the event is serious, what is the meaning of serious? We just studied the definition of serious adverse event, right? Any event जिसकी वजह से डेथ होता है, लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग, हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन, कॉन्जेनाइटल एब्नॉर्मलिटी एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. So that is the meaning of serious. Unexpected we just studied. जो पता नहीं है उसको unexpected बोलते हैं, right? And reasonable possibility means there is a doubt, suspect, it may be related to the drug. So if the event is serious plus unexpected plus there is a suspect, doubt, then it is called as a SUSAR. I repeat, if the event is serious plus unexpected plus there is a doubt, suspect that it may be related to the drug, then it becomes a SUSAR. SUSAR means suspected, unexpected, serious adverse reaction. Okay, this is again a important term or definition which is used in the pharmacovigilance industry. Okay, so slowly once you start reading more about pharmacovigilance, adverse event definition, you will understand this. Okay, but I hope with the examples at least you are able to understand, at least 60% is understood. Even if it is 60% understood, I am happy that you are able to understand with the help of examples. Okay, next slide. MEDRA is a medical coding dictionary. Okay, now we are talking about so many events, but the event has to be coded in a common standard language which is reported to the regulatory authority, right? So while talking about informed consent form, I just told you about language. Similarly, when the reporting is happening, okay, now in the marketing phase or in the post-marketing phase, everyone can report. Patient can report, nurse, doctor, ward boy, lay person, pharmacist, investigator, anyone can report. So everyone will have a different style of reporting, right? Like say for example, for the word fever, okay, please listen to this. This is very, very important and you have some exercise on this basis, this example which I'm telling you. Everyone have a different way of, talking the same term. I'll give you one common example first. Now, for our mother, right? For mom, globally there are different terms that we are using to call this relationship. We can call mom, I, amma, ma, mai, ba. There are so many terms. Everyone will call a different name. I will say mama, mummy, mom, etc., etc. Now, regulatory authority will not understand all these different language or terms. So when I give all these terms to MEDRA, MEDRA will code it into one single standard term, mother. Mother. So everyone will understand globally, all regulatory authority that we studied, right? हमने जो भी regulatory authority पढ़ा है आज, US FDA, EMA, Japan MHLW, UK, PMDA, CDSCO, everywhere. All regulatory authority will understand one common standard term, mother. So this is what your medical coding dictionary does. Your MEDRA dictionary will do. Now I will come to a specific example. There are 4 patients. One patient goes to the doctor and says, "Mala taap aaye." Taap. Second patient goes to the doctor. He says, "अब मुझे सुबह से बुखार जैसा लग रहा है." Third patient goes to the doctor. He says, "Doctor, I'm not keeping well. I think I have a high body temperature." I have a high body temperature. Fourth patient goes to the doctor and says, "Doctor, मुझे fever है कल 2 दिन से." I repeat, 4 patients reported events to the doctor in 4 different manner. First patient reported mala tapa hai doctor. Second patient is saying, "I'm having high body temperature." Third patient is saying, "I have fever." Fourth patient is saying, "मुझे बुखार आ रहा है 3 दिन से." Now there are different ways how patients or reporters will communicate to their doctors, healthcare professional or family physician. Okay, when the doctor is reporting, all these words will be given to Medra. Medra will code it as pyrexia. Medra will code it as pyrexia. So this is the medical standard term which is used to refer the word fever. High body temperature, increase in body temperature, elevated body temperature, fever, or if one of the patient has reported as mala tap hai, so the doctor will interpret that okay, tap is fever, so he has mentioned in that and the coding has been. Okay, this is the work, this is the function, this is the role of Medra dictionary. I hope this is. Next slide, please. We have different system organ class. We have different system organ class in which the reported events will fit. Okay, so let us take one example. A patient is reporting fever. A patient is reporting fever. The same example which we just discussed. Okay, can anyone from the panelist guess the event of fever will come under which system organ class? Any panelist who would like to volunteer? Any panelist who would like to volunteer? The reported event of fever, under which system organ class it will get classified? Anyone who can guess? Okay, I will share one example, then maybe you can try. So fever is basis the symptom, it will get classified under infection and infestation. It will get classified under infection and investigation. The third last system organ class point is the first column. Okay, I will give you another example. If the patient reports an event of, say for example, angina. Angina क्या होता है? Or there is a chest pain or angina. It will get classified under which system organ class? Cardiac disorder. It will get classified under which system organ class? Cardiac disorder. Okay, I will give you third example. We just studied about gastrointestinal bleeding, right? GI bleeding हो रहा है. It will get classified under gastrointestinal disorder. Okay, I will give you another example. Hepatitis. Hepatitis. It will go under which system organ class? Hepatobiliary disorder. Okay, I hope this is understood. I had discussed one more example, right? Female patient with urinary tract infection, suppose. Which system organ class it will go? See second column, renal and urinary disorders. और क्रिएटिनिन लेवल हाई. इन्वेस्टिगेटर ने सिर्फ इतना रिपोर्ट किया है लेबोरेटरी रिपोर्ट्स में देख के कि पेशेंट का क्रिएटिनिन और BUN हाई हो गया. क्रिएटिनिन नॉर्मल रेंज इज बिटवीन 0.3 और 0.5 to 1. Okay, so suppose it is some maybe 6.5 for a patient, and BUN average range is usually between 30 to 40. If it has reported maybe 150 or maybe 180 to 100, BUN and creatinine दोनों high है. Okay, so this adverse event will be reported, and while coding, Medra will code it and it will get associated with which system organ class? Can anyone tell me? It will again come under renal and urinary disorder. It will come under renal, right? Creatinine and BUN basically related to your kidney function. It will get classified under renal disorders. Okay, next slide. Okay, I had mentioned about this word signal. Okay, so now when we are crossing the road, when we are driving car, bike, scooty, whatever, we look at the signal, right? What is the signal? Signal is an indicator what we have to do, whether we should go or whether we should stop. In pharmacovigilance domain, when I use the word signal, again signal is a indication, alert. When new adverse events are identified, जिसके बारे में हमें complete information नाही आहे, ते आपल्याकडे complete माहिती किंवा information, documentation किंवा evidence नाही आहे, पुरावा नाही आहे, Whether it can be related or whether it is related or not, you are not able to identify, you are not able to overrule. In such cases, such kind of events are referred to as a signal. I repeat, when you do not have sufficient information, it is dicey. हो सकता है, नहीं हो सकता है. You are not able to get the information. आपल्याकडे पुरावा नाही है, whether it is related or whether it is because of this particular drug. In such case, the event is identified or referred to as a signal because the information available till date is incomplete or insufficient. It is called as a signal. Okay, but every regulatory authority and every pharmaceutical company, they are supposed to identify signal. Why is signal important to be identified? So that before the event occur and before the patient die or before they experience serious adverse event, you can share about this doubt information and you can save the life of people. Remember the word definition of pharmacovigilance: prevent, mitigate. जे होण्याच्या आधी आपण कंट्रोल करू शकतो. For that reason, you have to identify the signal. For that reason, the pharmaceutical company have to identify the signal, and the regulatory authority mandates that every company have to do the process or procedure of signal detection and identification. Okay, so that is the meaning of a signal. WHO newsletter, I will share some link with you. Every time they share a newsletter, they identify a new signal and it is published in the WHO newsletter. If you type WHO newsletter on Google, you will find white and blue color article. That is a WHO newsletter. And you can read about the signals from WHO newsletter. WHO UMC, I told you they are doing a very significant contribution in identifying new signals every year or every time as per the frequency. Okay, so this is again very important. Next slide. So this is the last concept which is a part of pharmacovigilance, RMP, risk management plan. What is the meaning of risk management plan? Anywhere you go, whatever you do, you can be at risk. While you are crossing the road, are you at risk? Yes. If you do not see, or even if you see the vehicle properly, but someone is driving rash, they can knock you and you can meet with an accident. Okay. If you are going to a shopping mall, if you are going to a mall, they also have a risk management plan. If the building catches fire, there is a fire extinguisher. So fire extinguisher is a part of a risk management plan. Okay. In college, in school, in universities, in buildings, in your society complex, everywhere there is a safeguard, watchman. Okay, or there is a fire extinguisher in hospitals, in other public places. Okay, or there is emergency exit even in a bus. That is the part of risk management plan. It means that risk can exist anywhere. So when we are using a drug, we definitely know that there is a risk. So how can you manage the risk? With the help of a risk management plan. So I already gave you an example of package insert. आपल्याकडे ते package insert किंवा medicines वर label असतात, right? All the information about the ingredient, precaution, warnings. This is an example of a risk management plan. It is provided to us so that we can read. So the investigator can read, doctor can read, patient can read before they use the drug. Okay, you are not supposed to remove the medicine and throw the package. It is given to us for reading and understanding whether there is any side effect or warning which is related to us and whether I can use the drug safely or not. So that is one example of a risk management plan. We know that there is a risk. कोणती मेडिसिन असू त्याच्यासोबत रिस्क आहे? Yes, risk is associated with any kind of medicine. What we need to do? We need to take the precautions so that you do not succumb to the risk. And hence, a risk management plan is very important or necessary. Okay. Next slide. These are just examples of some spontaneous form. We discuss about yellow card, MedWatch form, which is used in US by US FDA. Next slide. Okay, SIOMS form, suspected adverse reaction reporting form which is available in India, PVPI program. Okay, Amol, can you go to the next slide and you can copy those links? I will quickly show the attendees. The first link you can copy for yellow card.
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute.
I request all the attendees and panelists to please pay attention. I'm just demonstrating some links, some websites where you can go and get lots of information about pharmacovigilance, adverse event reporting form, how to report, where to report, contact numbers, emergency number. Everything is available on this website.
Wait, ma'am. Just a minute.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
The sharing.
It is allowing you to share the Google screen, na, Amol?
Yeah. There is some issue with sharing. I'll just wait. Adsule ma'am.
येस सर.
पंकज.
हा सर बोल.
शेअरिंगचा ऑप्शन माझा गेला, एकदा चेक करतो पंकज.
बर, एक मिनिट मी सांगते पंकज सरांना. आय थिंक मॅडम होस्ट आहेत त्यामुळे होत असेल, म्हणजे मॅडमना शेअर का तुमच्याकडेच आहेत
एकच मिनिट.
शेअरिंगचं? कारण मला पण नाही,
मला शेअरिंगचं ऑप्शन नाहीच आहे, आज मी नाही घेतले ऑप्शन.
नाही, ज्योती मॅडम कडे शेअरिंगचा ऑप्शन गेला आहे, ते ऑटोमॅटिक गेला आहे. चेक.
Okay, attendees, panelists, please have some patience. We are just trying to share the screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
पंकज सर.
हा सर बोला.
कॉल.
हा, मला अटेंड करा ना एकदा. मला हे करा, पॅनलिस्ट. शेअर होत नाही माझ्याकडनं.
बघा सर.
In the meanwhile, I will just like to tell the attendees that all these links I will be sharing with all the attendees. Okay, this will be given to Prajakta or to the panelists, and the concerned people will share this with you. And from tomorrow, okay, you can start looking at them, and then we can have a discussion. There will be some quiz, question, answer activities which I will be giving you. So today and yesterday, these 2 days were your learning part. And in the next 5 days, whatever you have studied, that you have to implement. ठीक है? आपलं lesson सगळं झालंय. All details, domains I have taught you. Now you have to apply. You have to read through the link. Okay? Self study पण करायचं आहे. And you have to try solving some questions, some papers, some exercise assessment that I will give you.
Okay. पंकज सर.
शेअर अमोल.
नाही पंकज सर.
हा बोला सर.
नाही, माझं शेअरचं ऑप्शन इनॅक्टिव्हेट झालाय. शेअर
तुम्ही ऑलरेडी आहेत प्रेझेंटर म्हणूनच आहात. इथे खाली 3rd नंबरचा जो आयकॉन आहे ना, शेअर कंटेंट वर क्लिक करा सर.
नाही, होत नाहीये ते, याच्या पूर्वी व्हायचं.
बरं, 1 मिनिट, परत देतो मी राईट्स.
हा, आता झालाय.
हा,
1 मिनिट फक्त. Almas ma'am, can you see this slide now?
I can see Google. Can you open the first link? First link. And just keep that Google page open, huh? Don't
Yes,
close
yes.
it.
Yeah.
So attendees, my friends, I hope you can see this yellow card. This is a portal, this is a website from which you will be able to read everything about the reporting part. And now because of the COVID scenario, see, they are populating that you can use the yellow card for reporting any kind of adverse event if someone is experiencing even after receiving the COVID vaccine. Okay, so all the details about the yellow card you can get on this particular website or from this particular information. This is freely available on Google. We will share you the link and we will request your time. Please spend at least half an hour to 1 hour and you will get so much of information. I would want all of you to make some personal notes also for your understanding. Okay, you have spent your weekends on this workshop, so make it very, very productive. तुम्ही स्वतः पण लर्निंग करा, तुम्ही स्वतः पण तुमचे नोट्स प्रिपेअर करा. दॅट विल बी व्हेरी व्हेरी युजफुल फॉर यू. Okay, so just to reiterate, when was the yellow card launch? It was immediately after the thalidomide tragedy, 1960 मध्ये ते thalidomide tragedy झाले होते. त्याच्यानंतर yellow card reporting साठी इंट्रोड्यूस केले होते, spontaneous reporting साठी. When I say spontaneous reporting, what is the meaning of spontaneous reporting? Reporting which is happening in the post marketing phase, after the drug has been marketed or commercialized. ठीक है? So this is how the yellow card website looks like, and there are different tabs you can see on the home page. There are information about the yellow card. Amol, just click on about yellow card.
Madam.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Professor Jyoti Jadhav here. Can you please explain this yellow card, how we can feel this if suppose anybody, any adverse effect regarding the COVID vaccination if happens? So I should know that this, what is the procedure actually with?
Yes, ma'am. If you go on the FAQ tab, Amol, can you just go on FAQ tab?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, Jyoti madam, if you see here, you have to first read this FAQs, and on the same website, you can download the yellow card. So just behind the yellow card, there is all instruction giving in point wise manner, point 1, point 2, point 3, how to fill the yellow card. So each and every information is available on how it needs to be filled. Okay, and the information in all the forms, whether it is US FDA, MedWatch form, SIOMS form, yellow card, blue form, which is used in Australia. Okay, blue form, which is used in Australia, or the PVPI form, which is suspected adverse drug reaction form. I will show you about the filling of at least one form, and we can just compare so that it will be clear to everyone. Okay, so Amol, just paste the next link. This is about the yellow card, which is used in UK. Okay, I will show you some other forms or links also.
Just a minute, ma'am.
Yeah, no problem. Just go back and paste the second link from the slide, Amol.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see. Okay, so this is US FDA MedWatch form. Can you scroll down?
Yes,
scroll down. So I told you that there are two types of MedWatch form. One is used for mandatory reporting. Mandatory म्हणजे काय? Compulsory reporting. Okay, and one is used for voluntary reporting. It is not mandatory. ते compulsory नाही आहे, but if you want, okay, you can do the reporting and you can contribute to the adverse event reporting portal. Okay, so just click on one of the link, PDF voluntary reporting form. It will open, and from this link you can download all the forms. So I will request all the attendees, all the panelists, they can please visit this website and download all these forms. Okay, and thoroughly look at each of these forms. You will definitely get lots of detail, lots of knowledge, lots of information about what are the different components of this form.
Okay, madam. It's very nice because up till now I don't know actually these things are available on the website. Even if I am doing working as a ethics committee member since long back, 10 years back, but I have no idea about all these things, madam. Thank you so much.
That's okay, madam. No problem. Now you know it, so you can definitely learn, madam.
Yes. Thank you, madam.
Okay. Amol, are you able to download that form?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have downloaded it. Can I show it to you?
Yeah. It will be in a PDF format. Open kar.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
मैम थोड़ा अलग मैसेज आ रहा है यहाँ पे, प्लीज वेट. Almas, ma'am.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I have included
एक
some.
sir. अमोल सर
हाँ,
खाली बघा, बहुतेक डाउनलोड झालेला आहे फॉर्म. खाली दिसत बघा डाउनलोड रेड कलर.
हो नाही ते ओपन केलं सर, तर असं दाखवत आहे ते.
No, ठीक आहे. Amol, I have shared one folder with you. In that there is one folder called forms. I have downloaded, I think, 1 or 2 forms. Can you open directly from that folder? The
Yes,
PDF
yes,
version मध्ये ते जरा open
yes,
कर.
yes. Just a minute, ma'am. Session 3 ना मॅम.
नाही फॉर्म्स फॉर्म्सचा एक फोल्डर आहे बघ.
मेड वॉच फॉर्म.
ओपन that. Yeah, ओपन कर. The system is supporting PDF version ना, Acrobat आहे ना?
Yes, आहे मॅम.
Adobe Acrobat. राईट क्लिक करून ओपन कर.
हो. वेट.
I have already included the screenshot of this in the slides. No problem. You have got an idea.
Just
But
a minute.
we will be able to share this. We can share this downloaded form also
Okay.
with the attendees. So you can just try. If we are able to open one form, that would be great. I can quickly take you through the sections or through the parts.
Just a minute, ma'am. 1 minute. It is opening now. Yes, it is opened. Just I'll share it now.
Okay. So, friends, attendees, in the coming days from tomorrow, okay, you have to start working on these forms, right? So you have to start filling this form and then we can discuss. This will be a part of your assignment exercise. So each one form from every website, okay? One MedWatch form, one SIOMS form. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Can you see this form now?
Yes, I can see. Okay, so if you see this, at the top it is mentioned voluntary reporting form. Okay, so there are 2 types of form. Now we are looking at the voluntary form and all the instruction is given. Jyoti madam, even on this form, all instruction is given in highlighted yellow color, and there is a instruction below also on every form which is printed, or on the back side of the form which is printed, and you can read that instruction and you can fill this form. Okay, so I will quickly guide you. There is first section which is about the patient. Okay, so now because of the confidentiality, we never write the name of the patient. We always write the initial. So for example, Almas Sayed. If I have to write Almas Sayed, I will write only my initial A-S. Okay, so that is how we write the initial. Date of birth, male, female, then adverse event. What are the adverse events? Whether the adverse event is related to the drug, whether it is related to some condition. I gave you an example. Section B, point number 2. I want all of you to pay attention. Point number 2. Okay, we just studied the definition of serious adverse event, right? So if you're reporting an event, say for example, you have taken vaccine and you have developed fever. So which option you will select? Fever is not a serious adverse event. Fever is not a serious adverse event, right? So in that case, you can just report it as adverse event, but it is not reportable under serious adverse event unless it is causing you to get hospitalized. So for example, if you got fever for 3 days and then you got hospitalized, then it will become a serious adverse event. You have to take on hospitalization. किंवा एखाद्या adverse event झाला आणि तुम्हाला काय disability झाली, so you have to take on disability, birth defect, any other serious adverse event, you have to justify with the reports, supporting reports. Okay. Date of event, when did it start, when are you filling this report, describe the event in short, relevant laboratory test if it is done. So this is a voluntary form. So considering that this has been filled by the patient, because the patient is not aware, even after reading the instruction, they may not be able to fill every detail. Okay. But we as a clinical research or pharmacovigilance professional, from this workshop and even after this workshop, we will try to have some more lectures or training session here and in some other places where we will guide. Our intention or objective is to educate all the clinical research professional, whether in the college, a fraternity, hospital, clinic, students, to know this so that they can spread this message awareness to everyone. Okay. Then there is information about the drug that needs to be used. Suspect medical device. Suspect means what? We just studied. If the patient is taking 5 drugs, okay, all the drugs which was taken during the time when the patient experienced an adverse event, they all will become the suspect drug, unless you are able to overrule. Okay, I will give you one very good example. I want all panelists and attendees to please pay attention. Okay, this is a practical example which we used to do when working with one of the company. Okay, we were working on a drugs which is called Plavix. Okay, a very common known aspirin. All of us know aspirin, right? Aspirin is a very known or a very common or a very known drug which is known to each one of us. Now, similar to aspirin, there was a second company who was developing a similar product, okay, which was called as Plavix. Plavix. So now there were 2 drugs, aspirin and Plavix. Both the drugs are causing gastrointestinal bleeding, and it is mentioned in the package insert. Both the drugs are known to cause. म्हणजे gastrointestinal bleeding एक known side effect आहे किंवा adverse event आहे which is known, and it is mentioned in the investigator brochure किंवा package insert which is distributed to the healthcare professional or to the patients or to any clinical research professional or healthcare professional. Okay, so it is a known adverse event. Now, if there is one patient who's taking Plavix as well as aspirin, and the patient is also taking 3 or 4 other medicine for cardiovascular disease, or maybe for asthma, or maybe for diabetes, or maybe for hypertension. So the patient is taking 5 drugs and the patient has reported gastrointestinal bleeding. Now, what will happen? We are looking at aspirin and Plavix, and we know that these drugs are known to cause. So primary suspect will be aspirin and Plavix. Okay, and later you will try to identify if the other 4 or 3 drugs are also causing or known to cause gastrointestinal bleeding. If not, you can overrule. If not, you can overrule, because you know that Plavix or aspirin are known to cause adverse event. These are expected events. Okay, so this is just one example that I gave you. Similarly, in this form, there are all information related to the drug, related to the manufacturer, relevant information, medical history. Okay, you can scroll down, you can see medical history of the patient that needs to be reported. Now, you can consider if the patient, when we say patient, it is definite that the patient will have definitely more than one disease. Okay, earlier, our forefathers, grandmother, grandfather, they used to develop disease Okay, maybe late in the stage of 80, or even, you know, at the age of 80, 90, they lived disease free. First of all, they zagle. Okay, in today's world, people do not even cross 60, 65 very successfully. That is the mortality rate, right? So I just wanted to tell you that in this form, okay, any patient who is having other medical history is also required to fill all the details. And for that medical history, okay, suppose there is a patient को hypertension है, diabetes है, cholesterol है, or patient को asthma है, patient is having some other allergic rhinitis, so there are more than 5 to 7 medicine or drugs the patient is taking. All these drugs become concomitant medication. I repeat, all these drugs are called as concomitant medication. So this form will ask you to fill the details about medical history, concomitant condition, if you are allergic to a particular drug, etc., etc. Any surgery you have undergone, all this information has to be filled in. So all your forms, COMS form, yellow card, MedWatch, all this form, or PVAPI, suspected adverse reaction form, the content is almost, I can say 95%, 99% same, only the representation is different. So if you learn to fill one form, you can fill all other forms.
And all the
Okay.
forms are in English only, na? Language is only English. No
Yes,
other
madam. So,
language.
so for the ease of, or as a globally accepted language for the ease of reporting purpose, it is all in
only.
English. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Amol, can you open the second form? I think there are two forms which I had shared in the folder. We can quickly have a look at the second form also.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Which form, AD, RFF2, DD, later 2, or ICSR? Which one?
No, ADR 1, PDF, PDF format ADR.
Yeah, ADR F2.
Yeah. Open that.
Just a minute, ma'am. I'll just share that form.
Yeah.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah, it is visible. So, can you identify which form is this? Anyone from the panelists can tell me which form is this? First of all,
Yeah, it is suspected adverse drug reaction reporting
correct
form.
So this is the form available for Indians.
Yeah.
Indian
Okay, for
Pharmacopoeia
all of
Commission.
us. Correct. This is made available on PVPI portal of India, Pharmacovigilance program of India. So as Indians, at least you should know how to fill this form. Okay, so I want all the attendees, all the panelists, please download all these forms and try to fill this. Look at this. Okay, we are all professional, and we should definitely learn and be aware about all this information. Okay, so if you look at this form, again, the details, if you see, is almost similar. I told you all the forms are 95 to 98% same. Okay. So again, information about the patient, about the reporter, about the suspect drug, medical history, concomitant medication, laboratory test, okay, suspect drug, or any other past history. All this information has to be reported on the form. Now, as a job, there are two parts. One part who is filling the form. Okay, so this is again in the interest of all the panelists and attendees who want to make a career or looking for a career in clinical research and pharmacovigilance industry. Okay, so if you want to join a hospital environment, okay, so suppose you have taken a job of an investigator, CRA, CRC, a clinical research coordinator, okay, and you are working in a hospital environment along with the doctor or an investigator. So that time you will be serving as a reporter. तुम्ही हे सगळं फॉर्म फिल करून देणार आहे कॉर्पोरेटला CRO किंवा pharmaceutical industries who are receiving this form. You are going to submit this to the BPO or KPO, the pharmacovigilance team or pharmacovigilance center. So that is your role. On the other hand, if you are taking a job in company like Covanx, IQA, TCS, Cognizant, okay, or other pharmaceutical industries, Sun Pharma, etc., etc., in these companies, if you are working as a pharmacovigilance or a drug safety professional, you will receive this form. तुमच्याकडे हे फॉर्म येणार आहे फिल करून. And you will have to understand what information is correct, which is missing. And you have to analyze this information, put it in the database, and you have to do MEDRA coding. And you have to do medical evaluation. You have to write a narrative, and you have to submit this form to the regulatory authority. So irrespective of whether you are, filling the form or you are interpreting the form, if you learn how to, if you are aware about this form, you will be doing a very, very good role, and you will be contributing significantly to the drug safety and pharmacovigilance field. Okay, I hope all of you are understanding this, and I hope all of you agree with this. So this is very important, my friends. Okay, all of you should learn, and you should understand all these reporting forms. These are very important. I will give you as a practice, as a assignment, I will give you some some hypothetical or fictitious sample. I will give you some reports or paragraph, and you can read that information as a reader, and you can start filling this form. So you can consider yourself as an investigator or a patient and try filling this form, and you can check how much you are able to fill. Okay, and then maybe we can discuss if you have any doubts or question in the coming days of our workshop. Okay. Amol, can you open the DD form, the DD letter? Next
Yes.
PDF form आहे तिथे एक DD letter म्हणून.
Yeah, ma'am. I'll show you.
Okay.
Can you see this, madam?
Yeah, I can see. Okay. Now, attendees and panelists, please pay attention once again. I had mentioned about signal. Okay, I had mentioned about the signal, and I had mentioned that whenever new information is identified, this has to be communicated. Communicated first, very important, to the healthcare professional or to the investigator. Why? Because they are either giving the drug, prescribing the drug in clinical practice to the patient, or they are administrating or giving the drug to the patient in clinical trial. Okay, so clinical trial, clinical practice, these are two different domains. So if any new adverse event is identified, even if you do not have 100% guarantee, but you suspect, आपल्याला doubt आहे, आपल्याला असं वाटतं की ते कदाचित possibly it could be related to that particular drug, then we have to share such communication to the healthcare professional. These forms are called as Dear Doctor letters किंवा healthcare professional letters. Okay, these kind of forms are available on the US FDA and EMA website also. This is one sample I have downloaded. Okay, in this information, see, it is addressed to healthcare professional. So the pharmaceutical companies are informing the healthcare professional that so and so drug can cause these kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 adverse event. We doubt. Okay, and hence please be cautious. So it is like an awareness, alert, be careful. Alert raha तुम्ही. Possible होऊ शकतं adverse event. तर तुम्ही strictly monitor करा. Please be very vigilant. And if you identify such event from any patient, report it immediately. So this kind of communication is called as Dear Doctor letters or healthcare professional letters. Okay, these are sent to avoid late reporting. So before the adverse event is harming the patient, we are trying to inform this to the professional, to the doctors, to the physician, and to the investigator, so that they can learn about this, read about this, and they can do the monitoring carefully, and they can report this immediately to the sponsor or to the healthcare authority. Okay. Okay, you can close this, Amol.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hello, Almas madam.
Yes.
Yeah, I have one question. That whatever form that you have shown no earlier, a suspected adverse drug, this one form for Indian Pharmacovigilance Commission.
Correct.
बरोबर आहे. तर is this the form same for all pharma companies, CROs, or all for all hospitals?
Okay.
Or
So, sir,
for every hospital, every company, they have some kind of different forms.
okay, so this is one standard form which is available on PVPI portal. Okay. However,
Right,
some
right.
companies can have their specific reporting forms. Some
Okay.
companies can have specific reporting form, but mostly for all the products, if you have access to PVPI program and you want to report this in India, then you can use this form. Similarly,
All
if you
right.
have to report any adverse event in US, then you have to use the MedWatch form.
Right.
If you have to report the event in UK, you have to use the yellow card form.
All
If
right.
you have to report, globally in most of the regions, they are accepting CIOMS form. CIOM form is
Okay.
considered as one of the
Right,
standard
right.
reporting form also. Okay. So some
Okay,
forms,
fine.
some companies will have their own very specific form, but otherwise these form, depending upon which country or region you are residing, you can use these forms and they will not deny. They will not
Okay.
deny. They will accept your form and they will, they will do the required assessment evaluation and they will submit this to the regulatory authority. Have you
Right.
understood this?
Okay, okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Madam,
Yes.
as we are thinking of always there are side effects and all these things, but many cases maybe I have heard one only sometime in discussion in the one of our training program that there might be certain observations from the doctor side that some drugs are beneficial for on the other way. So is this possible that if suppose the drug is designed for something, this particular for the treatment, and it is showing the better result for some other diseases like that, so can it be possible to report such types of, because it's a both way, it is either they may be harming or they may be good one. I think I have one there is one doses for the infant. I actually not remembering it. Can you please explain if you know all these things that and these are there any chances for any
Yes,
practitioner
ma'am, we
to
are
report
doing this,
this?
so I am definitely bound to know this. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you are saying, this is also called as reporting of side effect which are positive or which are favorable in nature. Okay.
Yeah.
So in fact,
Yeah.
just for your information, there was a drug which was the product Viagra which was discovered. It was actually discovered in the same manner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first product, the initially the product, the active moiety or that pharmaceutical product was used for some other clinical condition. However, the patients who were using this product, they reported improve in the erectile function, and that is how Viagra was discovered. Okay.
Yes.
That is one example. Similarly, there are many such drugs which are giving you favorable or beneficial side effects.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are also, if you are reporting this beneficial or favorable effect of the drug, this is taken by the researchers and they do further research about this and they can have the drug used for further indication, multiple indication.
Yeah.
Okay. Like we know that there are drugs which are having the same chemical entity can be used for multiple indication. Okay, one drug which is used for multiple indication, and they will have to do the required or a focused clinical trial to show the safety and efficacy of that drug for that specific therapeutic condition.
Yes.
And then the drug will be branded and it will be approved for the condition, for that particular specific treatment or condition. So when you are reporting adverse event or side effect, this kind of information is also captured. And along with the adverse event, there is in this adverse event reporting form, you also have the option to report condition or cases like overdose, medication error, drug abuse. Okay. So all this kind of information is also required for the pharmaceutical industry to capture related to the drugs which they are marketing. I repeat, apart from the adverse event, other events which are related to overdose,
which are related to medication error, okay, which are related to say for example, if it is some kind of administration error, okay, I had a pre-filled syringe or an injection. It was required to be injected subcutaneously. I have injected in an IV manner or a transdermal. So that is an wrong way of administration. So that will also get administration error under medication error. Okay.
Yeah.
Similarly, cases of drug abuse, overdose, medication error. Okay. All these are also reportable events. Some cases of drug counterfeit. Counterfeit means there can be some false drug or counterfeited drug. Okay, so if there is some quality related defect also observed, like color discoloration, you know that you are taking a tablet, okay, which is pink in color, but you see that the pink color is looking white in color, and the powder has, you know, maybe it is little, it has some kind of moisture when you open it. So there is some issue related with the product, so you immediately report tablet discoloration, and the tablet was identified in a wet or in the amorphous state. So there can be some kind of shipping related, storage related, manufacturing related, that the company will identify, report it to the regulatory authority.
Okay.
Okay, I hope this is clear, madam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
Amol, I think we are left with one last presentation, types of ICSR reports. So can you open that quickly? We will finish that.
Yes. Types of ICSR reports, right, ma'am?
Yes.
I'll open that. Just a minute. Yeah, can you see the presentation now? Almas, ma'am?
Yes, I can see the presentation. Okay. Now, ICSR, all the forms that we have seen in the pharmacovigilance unit, we call them as ICSR reports. All these forms are called as ICSR reports. Okay, next slide. So what is the definition of an ICSR? This definition is from a guideline, GVP, okay, good pharmacovigilance practice, which was given by the European Union, right? We studied in the previous presentation. So I stands for individual, very important. Everyone please make a note of this. When I say ICSR, I stands for individual, single patient. In this report, there is a report or information detail given about a single patient. Hence, it is called as individual case study report. And there are some different types of reports which are called as aggregate report. We are not going to talk about that, but I just thought I will tell you so that you are able to understand what is the difference. Okay, there are some cumulative report in which lots of adverse events are reported in a single report, in a cumulative report. Unlike that, ICSR stands for a single patient, a single report which is for a single patient. Hence, it is called as individual safety report. This is a specific format in which all the forms are made, and hence in the same format it is submitted to the regulatory authority. Okay, so I had told you that why, there was a question from sir that which type of form can be used, or anyone can use any form. So basically the format is of an ICSR, and hence all these forms which we have seen some time back, they are in the ICSR format. Okay, and hence you can use any of these forms depending upon which drug, which region, which country you are submitting the form. Okay, next slide. This is a typical ICSR case processing. Again, this is very important. So if you are joining a pharmacovigilance job as a drug safety associate, as a case processor, these are all the activities that you have to perform. Case receipt, you will receive the forms.
you will have to do duplicate check. Why? Because in the database there are lots of information, so sometimes you can receive the same report, same form more than one time, so you have to do a duplicate check. Then you have to register the case, which is called as logging. Then you have to triage the case. This is a very important concept, triage, which you need to understand. Triage means you look whether the case is serious, expected or unexpected, related or unrelated. That is the meaning of triage. Depending upon the triage, you can decide the priority or urgency of the reporting form. So we have studied about the definition of adverse event, serious adverse event, ADR. We have seen where it is reported on the forms. How it is reported is very important. You cannot fill the form and submit it, as per your requirement. You have to follow some timeline. Any serious adverse event has to be reported within 24 hours. I repeat, serious adverse event from the investigator to the regulatory authority or to the sponsor has to be reported within 24 hours. 24 तासला आपल्याला सबमिट करायचे असतात. That is the urgency of submitting a serious adverse event. Similarly, we studied about SUSAR, suspected, unexpected, serious adverse reaction or report. There are two types of SUSAR timeline, 15-day and 7-day. 7 calendar days. I repeat, calendar days, which means you have to count Saturday and Sunday. आपल्याला Saturday, Sunday सुद्धा count करायचं. It is not business days, it is calendar days. So if there is a patient who has experienced gastrointestinal bleeding and the patient died, it becomes a serious event. If it is death, if it is related to the drug, and if it is unexpected, then it becomes a SUSAR. And because the patient has died, it has to be reported within 7 calendar days to the regulatory authority. On the other hand, if the patient has experienced gastrointestinal bleed and the patient is hospitalized, not died, then it can be submitted in 15 calendar days. Starting two criteria, death and life threatening. If it is death and life threatening, 7 calendar days. 7 दिवसात आपल्याला submit करायचे within 7 calendar days. Apart from that, if it is hospitalization, congenital abnormality, abnormal lab report, then you have 15 calendar days to submit. So this is depending upon the severity of the event or seriousness of the event. Okay. So death and life threatening. Once again, please make a note of it. Death, life threatening, 7 calendar days. Other criteria, 15 calendar days. Okay. So when you are doing the triage, you have to decide 7 calendar days or 15 calendar days. After that, you enter the information from the form into the database. Okay, and you complete the medical coding, MEDRA coding, medical evaluation, causality assessment, writing the narrative. All these things are done by the case processor in the pharmacovigilance team. Okay, and then the person will do quality review to see if there is anything, if everything is filled correctly, if there is any spelling mistake, grammar correction required, whether you have done all the data entry correctly. And then the medical doctor, a medically qualified doctor. Yesterday in the first training module, career option, I had told you that medical doctors also have opportunity in pharmacovigilance. So they are taking up a role of a medical coder or a medical evaluator. We require MBBS doctor or allied doctors to become medical reviewer or medical evaluators. So they perform this activity in the case processing role. All other activities can be performed by other B.Pharm, M.Pharm students or other life science associates who have knowledge and experience of processing the case. Okay. So medical reviewer will see whether the event term is correctly coded, all relevant information, medical history of the patient is correctly written, all relevant lab tests are included, everything. Then the case will be completed, it will be logged and it will be submitted to the regulatory authority. So each form Every form that any patient is submitting, investigator, doctor, healthcare professional is reporting, each form goes through this entire processing flow. So you can understand now, okay, for everyone who still have question about the career opportunity in clinical research and pharmacovigilance, then I would like to tell you once again that there are so many pharmaceutical companies in every country, every region. Every pharmaceutical company have thousands of products. For every product, pharmacovigilance is done. For every single form, this activity has to be done. So you can imagine the number of activity workload that comes to every sponsor pharmaceutical company. And that is the reason they have outsourced this business to India. And that is the reason there are so many job opportunities in India. And in India, all cities, including Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kolkata, okay, and Indore, Bangalore, all these major cities are having companies which are recruiting clinical research and especially pharmacovigilance professionals. Okay, so once again, just to tell you or talk about or give you more information or detail about the job opportunities in the pharmacovigilance domain. And there are lots of opportunities related to the training aspect of it, filling the form. If you tell me if today you go to your family physician who must be a MD, cardiologist, diabetologist, or any senior faculty member or senior, physician, they will not know how to fill this form. I'm telling you seriously, you go and ask them, they will not know how to fill the form. Why? Because their way of working in clinical practice is altogether different than what we are doing in clinical research and in pharmacovigilance. So that is the reason that after all of you are getting educated, you gain this awareness, it will be your responsibility to, get this awareness or spread this awareness further. And that is the reason we all as a clinical research or pharmacovigilance professional, we have lots of scope, especially in our country, in India, because we still have under-reporting. Under-reporting means there is absolutely no reporting done or very less reporting done. If I will tell you, in most of the places, there is absolutely there is no reporting at all. Ajibat, absolutely. Kai reporting nahi hai. People don't know how to do reporting. Forget about layman or people who are not educated or well educated. Even people who are educated, they are not aware about this reporting. You go to some government hospitals, unless they have done clinical research work, they will not know. The doctors will not know the reporting. So that is the reason, if you are deciding to work, get associated with some hospital as an investigator, if you are qualified as a doctor or even as a coordinator, your knowledge will be much more than the person who is a doctor and doing a clinical research or clinical trial activity, because you have learned this in this pharmacovigilance course or pharmacovigilance workshop. Okay, so this is very important to all of you, and this is very important process in pharmacovigilance. For every case, every form which is coming, every event which is getting reported, this entire process of ICSR case processing is being done. Okay, and there are multiple levels of MEDRA coding, medical evaluation, which is a higher or more important or critical part of pharmacovigilance, which maybe we can plan and do in second set of workshop, because we cannot cover everything in 1 week's time. So we are trying to maximize everything that we can learn, but there is still lots of good thing, interesting thing which we will be learning, mostly maybe in the next coming workshop that our college will try to organize for all of you. Okay, next slide. Classification of ICSR. How are ICSRs classified? Now, I told you about spontaneous reporting. Spontaneous reporting means reports which are coming from the market. So your ICSRs are broadly classified into two categories: solicited and unsolicited. What is the meaning? I will give you a very simple way of remembering this. Solicited manje kai? Solicited means you are asking, requesting that you need the information. So mandatory reporting or requesting through some kind of follow-up questionnaire with the hospital, doctor, investigator, pharmacist, patient becomes solicited report. Unsolicited means which is coming voluntarily. You have not asked the patient or healthcare professional to report, but you are reporting because you have knowledge and you want to report. So that becomes unsolicited reports. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. These are some examples of unsolicited reports. Spontaneous report which is coming from the market, literature reports, medical legal case. Now I will tell you in short because this is very interesting. Medical legal cases. It does not happen in India, but it happens everywhere else, especially in the US, in the EU, Japan, Canada, and all other regions and countries. Medical legal case means what? Patients are taking the drug, or the relatives are taking the drug, or family members are taking the drug, and if they experience any adverse event which is not mentioned in the label, okay, I repeat, listen to this very carefully, this is very interesting. If any patient experience any kind of harm, injury, okay, either life threatening or someone took the drug and they died, their relative, so if the husband has taken the drug and the husband died, his wife will file a medico legal case, a litigation case through a attorney. Attorney means an advocate. Okay, in a very layman's language, through an advocate and a medical representative, company representative, they will file a medico legal case against the company that my husband took your company drug and he died. So give me some compensation. And I would want all of you, after the session is done in the coming days, please go and check on the website. Right from GSK, J&J, Johnson and Johnson, okay, Pfizer, so many companies, all renowned, famous, Roche. I mean, you name and their name, you will find all these pharmaceutical companies have compensated in dollars, millions and trillions dollars for medico legal reporting. And what about in India? In India, we do not even report, even if someone is dying. आपल्याला काय करायचं, जाऊ द्या ना. It is not our responsibility to report. Or even if we experience something, we just go to the doctor. Doctor said do this, do that, and we are all done. Quite. So basically, we are not socially responsible. I feel very disappointed to say this, but at the same time, I'm making a request and appeal to everyone that, friends, you are a future for the coming world, okay, especially in India. So please, now, because you are becoming aware, take initiative that what all can be done. Okay, there are lots of social responsibility, this kind of opportunity also, that you have to take up about reporting of adverse event. There is under reporting in a country like India. There are so many patients, so many disease, so many medications which are approved. Patients are dying because of many areas. If you look on the Google website, there are more than 50% cases where patient dies because of some kind of adverse drug reaction or drug to drug interaction. Patients are taking 5, 7, 10 drugs, and patients are not dying because of the disease, but they are dying because one drug is reacting with some other drug to drug reaction. These are called as DD reaction, drug to drug interactions. Okay, but there is no one who's reporting. Patient is not aware, but even the doctors, physician, healthcare professionals are not aware. So can you realize, can you understand, there is so much of drawbacks, limitation, or there is a limitation, there is a gap in our system, our entire medical system, you can see. So as a student from pharmacy college, from life science studies, you have to learn, understand this, so that you can contribute something to the society, to our country, to the medical industry, to the hospital industry, and towards the safety and pharmacovigilance domain industry. Okay, so that was about a medical legal case. I will give you one classic example. There were lots of litigation against Johnson and Johnson baby powder, talc and oil, that these kind of powder, oil, they are having some kind of carcinogenic agents. Okay, you can read about it. And then Johnson and Johnson had to give some data clarifying justification of all their products. Okay, similarly, there are lots of litigation cases for GSK, Pfizer, Vioxx product. You can look, Vioxx product was from Merck. Okay, and it was withdrawn from the market because there were multiple cases reported of cardiovascular risk associated with the product Vioxx, and overnight the company decided to withdraw the product from the market. So such things have happened only because of drug safety and pharmacovigilance. Okay. Next type of report which is under unsolicited is internet report. What is the meaning of internet reports, friends? आपल्याकडे आता social media available आहे, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Okay, so there are so much of information which is coming through social media also. Companies are having their own website, social platform which is available for patient feedback about their product or their toll-free number. So you can fill the form on the company designated website or call the toll-free number. There will be some person who will pick up the call in a PV center. Okay, so let me tell you, that is one other aspect. Like other BPO call center, आपल्या PV चं पण call center आहे. Okay, there are PV call centers also where there are people sitting on call who will answer your query related to the drug, and you can talk about adverse event and they will make a report on your behalf. Okay, so there are job opportunities available in the PV call center also. So initially these companies like Wipro, okay, the companies like Wipro, e-clinical trials, they were having lots of PV call center kind of opportunities also, and there are still PV call centers happening. Okay, so I'm just giving you, while we are learning so many things, I'm simultaneously trying to tell you that there are job opportunities in so many different types of companies for all of you. So internet reports means which comes from social platform, from social media, whether public or company designated website. Okay, next slide. We have already seen this form, so we can skip this. Next slide, please. Are we done with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So in this presentation, I have not included about the solicited. We have seen different types of unsolicited reports. I will quickly tell you about solicited reports. Please make a note of it. Solicited reports means what? Which are coming basis the request. Okay. So solicited reports, very classic example is all the reports which are coming from your clinical trials or from some kind of patient or healthcare professional questionnaire or some kind of feedback survey. Okay, patient support program, PSP program. If you check on Google, you will be able to get all information. Many companies are running this kind of extended observational studies, non-interventional studies, patient support programs, okay, compassionate use program. So all the reports which are coming from such kind of sources are called as solicited reports. Solicited reports में क्या होता है? What happens in solicited report, that you know who is reporting and you can get in touch with them, and if any information is missing. But what happens in unsolicited reporting, because it is voluntary and it is from the market, if someone they have reported, but if you try connecting with them, if some information is missing, then there is a possibility that they will not entertain you. They will simply say that no, नाही आम्हाला काय information नाही share करायची. We are not interested in sharing further information. They may tell you, मुझे आप call मत करो, I don't wish to be contacted. So such thing happens. Okay, so that is the reason that companies try to give maximum instruction through training how to fill the form. So if you are able to get in touch with the reporter, whoever the reporter is, whether a layman or a healthcare professional, nurse, pharmacist, okay, if they know how to fill the form, then the quality of reporting will be improved. Similarly, the quality of our analysis will improve, and similarly, the quality of pharmacovigilance and drug safety will improve, and we will be able to give good drug, or we will be able to retain good drug, safe drug in the market, and we will be able to ban or withdraw, okay, drugs which are having high side effect or that are having more risk at an early stage. Then we will not have to wait for other countries. अरे ये ड्रग यूएस में बैन है, जापान में ब्रांड है, हमारे इंडिया में फिर भी बिक रहा है, हमारे इंडिया में फिर भी चल रहा है. क्यों चल रहा है? बिकॉज इंडिया में कोई रिपोर्ट नहीं करता है. No one is reporting in India, and that is the reason
Hello, sir.
we are not able to take
तुम्हाला
action
WhatsApp केलं
against
question
the
answers questions.
Okay.
हो
I hope this is clear to everyone. Okay. So I
Hello.
think there may be lots of questions today. Can I just take a quick 5 minutes break? We can have question answer, and then I have some quick 2 or 3 page exercise for you. I will try to explain you at least so that you can, if we are not able to complete it on the session today, it will be given to you and you can complete it, in the coming days, and then we can check or discuss about it. Okay. So, Amol, I just need a 5 minutes break and then we can continue the session. In the meantime, I will request you to collate the questions which has
Yes,
come
ma'am.
from the
Yes, sure.
attendees or the panelists. Okay.
Sure,
Okay,
ma'am.
fine.
Sure,
Thank you.
sure. Yeah. All the participants, I request you not to leave this room. Wait for 5 minutes, then we'll have a question answer session. I again request all the participants not to leave the room.
अमोल सर
आवाज ब्रेक होतोय सर थोडासा.
it persists I think
तुम्ही सर व्हिडिओ बंद ठेवला तरी चालेल
बंदच आहे व्हिडिओ
आणि
आता येतोय
डायरेक्ट
सर
मोबाईलवरून विचारलं तरी चालेल. हा, आता येतोय. बोबडे सर.
हा सर
मी 1-2 मिनिटं आधी बोलतो आणि मग तुम्हाला हे करतो, हँड ओव्हर करतो.
चालेल. येस आणि सिक्वेन्सनी हे घेतो जेवढे पॉसिबल आहेत 7-8 5-6 क्वेश्चन्स.
हो.
येस येस.
बोबडे सर.
हा.
आपल्याला एक फोटोग्राफ घ्यायचा आहे.
बर.
कॉमन पॅनलिस्ट सोबत.
आफ्टर क्वेश्चन अँड आन्सर
चालेल किंवा क्वेश्चन अँड आन्सरच्या आधी घेतला तरी चालेल.
चालेल.
आणि उद्याचा शेड्यूल सांगायचा आहे फक्त
10 पासून ना.
येस 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 सर. हॅलो सर. म्यूटवर आहात सर तुम्ही. म्यूटवर आहात सर. म्यूट केलंय तुमचं. नाही, म्यूट आहे सर तुमचं. सर तुमच्याकडनं म्यूट केलेलं आहे. अनम्यूट करा आणि मग ऐकायला येईल सर. अनम्यूट करा सर.
Okay, Amol, we are ready with the questions.
Yes, ma'am. Many thanks for this informative and energetic lecture, ma'am. As a teacher, I can, see the difference that when we take a lecture of 2 hours only, it is very difficult for us to maintain the energy. And from the beginning till the end, your energy is same. Actually, it is increasing. So thank you so much, ma'am, for this energetic as well as informative presentation. Now I request Professor Bobre sir to take question answer session.
Thank you, Amol sir. Madam, really, it was a great learning to all of you, not only the delegates but panelists as well. And dear delegates, I'm connected between you and ma'am that I'm going to share the queries you have raised for today's talk. Madam, Amit Raj Shinde wants to know what is IRB, IEC ethics community. This is question from Amit Raj Shinde.
Okay. This is a very simple question. Even if you Google, you will get it. Okay, but I'll tell you quickly. So IEC is Independent Ethics Committee and IRB is Institutional Review Board. Basically, these are ethics committees or institutional review board who are responsible for reviewing all the clinical trial research related protocol, investigators brochure, informed consent, and every document which is related to the clinical trial pharmacovigilance, so that they can take favorable decision and protect the right safety and well-being of the trial subject or the patient. Okay.
Okay, thank you for his answer. The next question is from Tarachan Lalwani, and he wishes to know if any device or drug is third-party manufacturer and if it is producing any adverse reaction, then can it be documented under PVPI program?
Okay. This question is related to the third party. Now, what happens like, see, there are lots of things in pharmacovigilance, which of course, is not possible that we could tell only in 1 or 2 day session. But this kind of partnership, like I had mentioned yesterday, that when pharmacovigilance or sponsorship is done, there is something which is called as co-sponsor, co-distributor, co-manufacturing. Similarly, in this business, there is a possibility of having a licensing partner. Means मैंने drug manufacture किया है, but it has been distributed through some partner. In this case, all the responsible person will get into an official agreement, like how we signed some kind of MOU or a document. These kind of agreements are called as PV agreement or SDEA agreement. I repeat, S as in safety, D safety data, exchange, E agreement, A SDEA agreement. So who will report, which region they will report, when to report is all mentioned in an SDEA agreement, which is one type of PV agreement.
Okay. There is another question lined up by same
sorry, Chandrasekhar, your voice, your voice is breaking, Chandrasekhar, your voice is breaking now.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
So the next question is from this Tarachan Lalwani. Is there any financial benefit to physicians if they report any ADR?
Yeah, this is a very good question. Yes, there is a financial benefit to the investigators who are reporting. So in ICH and GCP, we studied about the responsibilities of the investigator, but they have to sign something called as a investigator's undertaking. Okay, because when there is a financial benefit, then you know what can happen. Okay, there can be false report or false ADR that can also be reported. Okay, so this, and for that reason, if you recollect, I had mentioned about one person who goes to the site and who checks whether the investigator is doing all work correctly or not. Anyone recollect who is that person? I had mentioned about one person who goes to the site and who checks whether the monitor is doing all his activity reporting, data reporting correctly, adverse event reporting correctly. Anyone recollects who is that person?
Big Boss.
No, madam, that is regulatory authority. Regulatory authority will not go anywhere. I had mentioned about a person called monitor, CRA, clinical research associate or a monitor. Okay, so this person will go and check whether the reporting has been done correctly or not. So coming back to your question, every investigator for recruiting the patient, reporting the adverse event, they are paid. Yes, correct, they are paid. In fact, in one of the company, when we were reporting of adverse event, I also know that the investigators were paid for reporting पर एसएई, एक एसएई रिपोर्ट किया तो उन्हें एक एसएई का एक्स अमाउंट पे करते हैं. Okay, so this is not done to like just get some false adverse event report, but this is done to like to
Madam,
motivate.
Sonali
But
Saran.
they have to genuinely report the adverse event. Okay, because without a monetary benefit, I think no one is motivated to report. So there is a financial benefit or provision given to the investigators also.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, next question is from Professor C. Pulshettiwar. He wished to know what are the general challenges of adverse drug reaction reporting system in India.
Okay. So if you ask me, the challenges with respect to existence of the guideline form system is not there. Challenges is only related to the awareness. People are not reporting. Everything which is required for reporting exists in India. Especially once you go on PVPV website, you will self get the answer to this question. Everything is well designed. Everything is available. Every information detail is made available. In fact, sometime back in the session, I told you that the ADR International Drug Monitoring program, they have made zonal, local, regional, peripheral, national and international PV monitoring and reporting centers. In Mumbai, we have KM Hospital, which is one of the government hospital, as one of the reporting center. Similarly, in Pune, Delhi, Nasik, all other places, I'm sure there may be some kind of reporting center. If not local, there will be some zonal, regional level, peripheral level. So all these things exist, but still the reporting is not happening sufficiently because people are not reporting, healthcare professionals are not reporting. Okay.
In continuation, I also wish to know how transformation and artificial intelligence can impact the process and result of pharmacovigilance.
Okay. So I'm sure the person who is asking this question is aware about the new concept or developments in the AI industry, and hence you are asking this question. So we are looking at artificial intelligence and other technologies which will help us to reduce the manual intervention or the manual inputs which is required in the pharmacovigilance case processing. Because sometime back I told you that there is lots of workload required in this entire clinical research, trials, or pharmacovigilance industry, and even at the corporate level. So in our company and many other companies, there are delivery excellence team who are already working on this artificial intelligence tool, and where they are trying to see that how they can make the steps little more easy and accurate to continue the same activity which is yet done in a very manual manner. So that will be the role of artificial intelligence. And at every step, like one example was, how do you identify duplicates in a huge database? Okay, so I can apply my artificial intelligence and I can do my artificial intelligence program in such a manner that my AI will be able to detect or identify that out of so many reports, 1, 2, 3 reports were identified as duplicates. Okay.
Okay. Ma'am, this is a few selected questions that our delegates want to know. Really, it was a great roadmap, and this was the second day was a very fruitful to achieve the benefit of risk in the drug field. Definitely, this marathon 3.5 hours was really fruitful to every one of us, and we really thank for your the great knowledge that transferred it to, and definitely this information will turn into knowledge, and our delegates will definitely apply this in coming exercises. So with this, I extend my sincere thanks to Yad ma'am, our expert speaker. I also extend my sincere thanks to our Dean, Dr. Limay sir. Definitely, I would like to acknowledge the vibrant participants of Professor Jyoti Zado ma'am and Sonone. Definitely, I'm thankful to today's host, Tagal Pallevar sir, my colleague, Prajakta ma'am, and definitely the technical support which is provided by our very own Pankaj Shirbade. So with this, a few announcements I would like to make. Definite delegates, after this feast of knowledge, we have more couple of days to definitely implement our what we have exactly learned through the exercise. So for tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we will share the same link which will be shared on a Telegram group. So thank you so much, all of you. I think.
बोबडे सर.
Okay.
हॅलो,
Thank you so much.
उद्या बहुतेक 10 वाजता नाहीये.
Bobde sir, please correct the time. Bobde sir, please.
Tomorrow 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry.
Amol, I just need 1 minute.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So Amol, I have some samples of exercise. At least, we can spend some 15 minutes or so that I can just help the attendees to understand how it looks and what needs to be done. And then from tomorrow in the evening time, we are having evening session from 5 to 6:30, and this will be a pure application of whatever they have learned. So I would like to guide the students online what needs to be done. Can you please help me open the document? It is a Word document which I had shared in the same folder.
Okay. Before that, as documented evidence, can we have a photograph, please?
Sure.
Ashwin sir, Bobde sir, Pankaj sir, Prajakta ma'am, can you please start your video? Ashwin sir.
सर फोटो कोण घेते सर?
तुम्ही घेताय ना?
मी घेऊ का?
हो.
ठीक आहे. मला व्हिडिओ स्टार्ट नाही करता येणार, मी घेते सर मग.
ओके. हो.
बोबडे सर तुमचं नाहीये व्हिडिओ. मॅडम ज्योती मॅडम. Yes, I have taken, sir.
Okay. Ma'am, I'll share you that folder. You please tell me which,
Yeah, you can show me. I will just show you. You can open the folder.
Just a minute, ma'am.
I hope we have all the attendees online still, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, ma'am. Session 3. Can you see this, ma'am?
Yes, I can see that.
Just a minute. I'll again share it.
Okay, so in the folder forms, can you see there is one Word document called ICSR?
Yes. Can I open it?
Yeah, please. Can you please open this?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Can you see this, ma'am?
No, not yet.
Just a minute. Yes, ma'am. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Now it is visible.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So, attendees, I want all of you to please make a note of this. This is a very important thing which I'm explaining you right now. Whenever we are processing any case, ICSR, we just saw all different types of forms, right? On every form, there are lots of information, like, I can say at least 2 to 3 pages form
which contains detailed information about the patient, reporter, event, etc., etc. However, for the criteria of processing the ICSR, the regulatory authority or the guideline have made it so simple or easy, mandatory, that any form, any ICSR should have at least 4 criteria to make the case valid. I just explain you that many people don't know how to fill the form, and hence you receive incomplete detail or incomplete information. But we as pharmacovigilance professional or as drug safety professional, any case, if it has these 4 criterias available, we have to process the case in our database and report it to regulatory authority, and then we have to do the follow up to get the missing information. So in short, I'm trying to tell you that even as a reporter, if you are not able to fill all the information, but if you have filled these 4 criterias, your form will be processed and it will go to PVPI in India or US FDA or EMA. Okay, so let us see what are these criteria. These are called as validity criteria. Okay, these are called as validity criteria, and you can remember this validity criteria with the help of the acronym PERD. P stands for patient. Make a note of it. E stands for event. R stands for reporter. And D stands for the suspect drug. I repeat, it is PERD, where P stands for reporter. P stands for the patient. E stands for the event. R stands for the reporter, and D stands for the suspect drug. Okay. Now, every ICSR form or case which has these 4 valid criteria will become eligible for reporting. Let us look at one sample case which I have presented here. Dr. Praful reports that her patient, a 42-year-old male man, initial is AB, experience weight gain and fatigue after taking drug X. Dr. Praful's address and contact details are available. Now, in this case, I want, maybe some attendees who can tell me who is the reporter, who is the patient, what is the drug, and what is the event. Can someone please volunteer? Anyone from the attendees? You can also type your response in the chat link if you want. Anyone who would like to tell about this? Who is the patient? Who is the reporter? Anyone from the panelists would like to answer this? Hello, anyone from the panelists would want to answer this?
Madam, reporter Dr. Praful.
That's right.
Patient 42-year-old man.
Correct.
Drug X.
Correct.
And event weight gain and fatigue.
That's right. So we have 4 criteria, and hence this case is valid and it will be processed as a valid ICSR. Is this understood? I hope this is clear to everyone. Yeah, I can see some attendees are now typing in the chat window also. Okay, so let us do this, like, Amol, can you just project the second one, maybe little up? So okay,
yes,
from the second, from the second one, again the same exercise. You can start typing your response, who is the reporter, patient, drug, and event, in the chat window or in the Q&A box, so that we can discuss this. Okay. You can take 2 minutes quickly and you can tell me whether this information is available and you are able to do this.
Okay, I'm not able to see the response in the chat window for some reason, I guess. Amul, can you just check if there is some response and if someone has given the response for the second second case study? I will just read the case study for everyone. On 2nd September 2009, a 60-year-old white lady, initial BRK, was hospitalized. So just for your information, when I say white lady, basically it means a British, okay? That is about a race or the color of the female patient. Was hospitalized due to severe edema and urine retention. Drug A was discontinued and the patient was given some treatment. The investigator reported this as an initial report to the sponsor. 3 days later, during hospitalization, the patient died due to kidney failure and a follow-up report was submitted for the same by the investigator. Okay, now this is a very important case study. Who is the reporter here?
Ma'am, there are some answers. From
Okay.
Jivika, the answer is patient is 60-year-old lady.
Okay, BRK with the initial, correct. Who is the reporter here?
Second is old white lady's patient. Then pharmacist is the reporter, P. I think reporter is investigator. Reporter is investigator.
Correct. In the second case study, the reporter is an investigator, okay?
Yes. So there are some mixed answer from different students, so it is not possible to segregate this actually.
Okay, okay, no problem. So I will tell you, see, reporter here is an investigator, patient is a patient identifier. So we do not use the name of the patient like I have told you, but we are using the demographic. Demographic means age, date of birth, race or ethnicity. But in some regions, okay, please listen to this carefully. In some countries or in some region, they don't allow you to reveal the race or ethnicity of the patient because it is considered as an ethical issue. So they will just give you the age or date of birth of the patient or initial of the patient. So that will become the patient. Okay. Drug is A here. I have just taken one hypothetical example. And what are the events reported here? Severe edema and urine retention. Okay. Now, if I tell you in this case study, these events will be considered as a serious adverse event because the event has led to hospitalization and then the patient died because of kidney failure. Okay, so death is a serious adverse event. And what is the serious adverse event here? Kidney failure. The patient died due to kidney failure, fatal event, and the event of severe edema and urine retention are serious. Why? Because it led to hospitalization. So both types of adverse events, serious adverse event, are also present in this case study. Okay, so like that, on such kind of note, you will have some kind of case studies. I will share this sheet with you to solve the remaining case studies. Amol, you can close this and you can open the next Word document. So I will quickly discuss that also. Event selection. Event selection.
Oh. Yeah, ma'am. Just a minute.
Amol, I'm not able to see the screen. Have
Yes,
you?
no, just wait, ma'am. It is opening now. The file is opening.
Okay, no problem.
Yes. Can you see this file, ma'am?
Yes, I can see. Okay, I hope all the attendees and panelists are also able to see. Now, I had mentioned about this Medra coding dictionary, right? I gave you an example of, 4 or 5 different reporter coming and reporting in 5 different language or maybe in 5 different manner, not language essentially, but in 5 different verbatim. That is called as verbatim. Okay, so when you have different verbatims, how you are going to capture it? See this as one example. Okay, this is one case study of a 58-year-old female patient who is receiving drug X for hypertension, and she has participated in a phase 3 randomized clinical trial. Her past medical history was significant for mild myocardial infarction that occurred post-operatively after a routine colonoscopy. She was taking drug. Why? For her migraine. She presented with a 3-day history of fever with chills, severe muscle cramps, and fatigue. Now, from this case study, if you see that there are so many adverse events which has been reported in these 4 lines which the patient has. Okay, so I want the attendees to please tell me in the chat window what are the different adverse events or medical history which is reported for this patient that will be coded by the Medra dictionary. Okay, I will give you 2 minutes and you can start typing your response. Okay, now I can see some response in the chat window. Prerna Haritwal, she has mentioned hypertension. Okay, so she is taking drug X for hypertension in a randomized trial, which means that drug X is the suspect drug, first clinical trial drug or investigational product, and hypertension is one of the medical history that she has. Okay. Then other event is mild myocardial infarction. So mild myocardial infarction is her medical history, correct? Colonoscopy is again her surgical history. Okay. Then she was taking drug Y for migraine. So migraine is also one of the known or reported history that she has as for which she is taking the drug. And currently she has experienced what events? These will be considered as an adverse event because ये recently हुआ है उसको, right? 3 days history of fever with chills. So fever, chills, muscle cramps, and fatigue. These will all become the adverse event which are reported. Okay. Great. So I think for this, most of the response has come from Prerna. Abhilash has answered. Very good, Abhilash. And Prerna, very good. Pallavi, Ekta, Bombilkar, thank you so much. These are right. Okay. But from all this case study information, you have to identify that clinical indication कौन सा है, medical history कौन सा है, और reported adverse event कौन सा है. So slowly with practice, you will be able to identify, okay, which events are considered as the clinical condition, which are condition, which events are considered as medical history, and which events are considered as reportable adverse events. Okay. So good. I hope you were able to understand this from this particular case study. Okay. So I will share this document with you. There is another case study which you can do it and we can discuss it in the coming days of our workshop. I just wanted to explain you for sample so that you know how to do it. Okay. So Amol, I am done with this part. We can conclude the session and you can guide the student for the next days also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. So once again, thank you, Almas ma'am, Sonone sir, all my faculty colleagues for attending this workshop, all the participants. Now I hereby declare that today's session is over now and tomorrow's session will start exact at the scheduled time. Thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you Amol sir. Thank you Almas madam.
सर एक मिनिट फक्त त्या वर्कशीट ज्या होत्या त्या शेअर करणार आहे आपण इन्स्टा त्या टेलिग्राम ग्रुपवर तेवढं फक्त.
Okay. All the worksheet will be shared with by Telegram group to you. So you can answer those all and do that exercise. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you
madam.
so much.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.